Hey, this is Charlie Benante with Anthrax, and you are listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus. Wow.
Oh, boy. Here we go. This is Gene Simmons. Put that cookie down. Kiss. Stop pressing the button. Stockbroker Simmons. Star? Paul Stanley. Is that what he does? Stop shouting. My name is Ace Frehley. He's not what you would call a handsome man. Oh, no. Here come the kiss times. Is that a positive thing? Okay. All right. I'm going to grab me an ice cold mellow yellow. Why? Why do that to the fan? Stop it. Why? Because fuck them. That's all. What are you talking about? 617-525-08. You do? Hey, fucko. Do you like Kiss? Settle down.
Hello. Hey, what's up there, Kiss Army? Tom and Zeus in another episode of Shout It Out Loudcast, episode 328. Eddie Trunk, favorite songs from non-makeup albums.
And much more.
Yeah, I think we got to the topic like an hour and a half into our conversation.
That's what happens. You got three people with strong opinions that love to talk about Kiss. It was fantastic. You guys are going to love this one. We've had Eddie on a bunch of times, and this one was, in my opinion, excellent. So
yeah, this may be our favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
We got into a lot, and he has some great stories to share.
Yep.
And we obviously want to thank him too, but he kind of let the cat out of the bag. I'm not sure he's aware of how we do things here sometimes, but
you know what though? You're right. At first we're like, no, we spoiled our coming soon. But you know what though? Tuesday night, when Eddie Trunk is tweeting about how much fun he had on our show, and then he goes on his radio show on SiriusXM. Unsolicited, and talks about how much fun he had and pumping up the Kiss topic and stuff. I mean, you can't put a price on that. That's incredible publicity, and we're honored to have him do that. It's great.
Mind you, this interview is 2 hours. I think we did another half an hour to an hour afterwards.
Oh. Dude, we keep saying it every time. We need to have like Shout It Out Loudcast after dark or something. As soon as we stop recording, that's when all the good shit really comes out.
I had some good Ace stories.
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Tom, last week we talked about Kiss member Gene Simmons from Kiss and Ace Frehley. Their tours and their set list and all, and we compared the two of them, and we obviously did a poll. So how'd that go?
Yep. So we did a poll. Zeus, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at this poll, but this is a little bit, I don't know, maybe it's not surprising. We'll see what you think.
Yeah.
And this poll, the poll was simple. If you had the choice to see only one of them on tour, who would you see, Ace or Gene? Gene, 61% beat out Ace.
I think on the Instagram it was like 80-something%.
Yeah. And again, I know we'll go to a couple comments, but I know a lot of people are saying that, seeing Gene is a novelty. Ace has been touring for 40 years, whatever. But let's get a couple comments here. Our buddy Nige, Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer, Nige. I saw Gene at a festival last summer. Sounded great, but too much talking and wasting time and too many obvious Kiss songs. Overall, it was pretty disappointing. But I've never seen Ace live, so I can't believe this, but Ace gets my vote. Well, that's fair. If you've seen Gene, B. Crozel. I've seen Gene with Kiss. I've never seen Ace. That's my logic. Go see Ace and listen to him slur, "She wants to ride my rocket." That's true. Party Man says, I've seen Gene 3 times the last couple of visits that he's made to Europe. Haven't seen Ace around here since at least a decade, so I voted for Ace. Twisted Kister says, Gene, I've seen Ace solo about 4 times, all decent to very good shows. I've never seen Gene. Our buddy Tony from Restrained. Yeah, Tony. Gene, I can't sit through another Ace show. S. Terrapin says, I know how terrible Ace sounds these days, but I would still rather see an actual set of songs than seeing Gene dick around for half the show. Fair point. Yeah. Smith Cool says, Gene for sure, but if we got one final Bad Boys tour with Peter and Ace, I'd go to that in a heartbeat. That's never going to happen. And then let's see what people think about the episode itself, because we did talk about a lot of different stuff. By the way, our buddy Don Jameson, former guest of the show and fellow Pantheon podcaster, he retweeted us. And he said, I got to check this one out. So that was pretty cool hearing that from our buddy Don Jameson there. Emily Graziano, I want to see Gene. He canceled the Rockford show. So far, I've seen Ace 3 times, but I'd go see either. One day you look back and be really glad you went. I like the positivity, Emily. This guy's Twitter handle is Help Fight Cancer. All right, good for you. Can't wait to hear it. I just saw Gene, and man, did he really miss an opportunity to create a good show with a different set list. When he did the Beatles cover, the fans were just standing around looking confused. Twisted Kister again chimes in and says, Zeus, I would nominate you for Comment of the Week for what you said about losing pets. Remember that last week?
Oh, why do you bring that up now? Now because I'm depressed again.
Because I think it's a good point, yes.
That I said I'd rather see an old man get kicked down a flight of stairs than a pet get hurt?
So would I. Fuck him.
Instead, fuck him.
Matt Vicente says, I picked Gene. I've seen Gene years ago with Ace's current band, and his set list was fun. Ace's band is his saving grace. Every time I've seen him, Ace, his band covers for all of his fuck-ups. I'm going to see Gene again soon with his new band. Looking forward to it. MD says 2 things regarding Gene covers. Yes, we know bad reputations from Thin Lizzy, not Joan Jett. Yep. The common theme between Van Halen and Beatles covers is that, according to Gene, those bands never played those songs live. Yeah, no shit, Gene, because they don't want to. No one wants to hear them.
But let me play them live,
Exactly.
and their own band didn't want to play them.
Here's a song the Beatles would never play. I'm going to play it for you. Conrad Pena, I would love to see Gene and Ace. As for my preference, I'd go with Ace. Brendan Crabb says, I enjoyed a few beers earlier with the assistance of this stubby holder. And it's one from the end of the road. Our buddy Steve chimes in. I would see Gene every time. Seen Ace a few times over here, and he has been awful every time. He's been. Why is that funny? That shouldn't be funny. He's been a solo artist for a long time, and he released a few albums. Yet he insists on the bulk of his set being Kiss songs. Doesn't he have any confidence in his own stuff that he does?
The problem is I can't remember the things I did when I was loaded.
That's exactly why he's playing Kiss songs. He's not going to remember "Stranger in a Strange Land" or whatever the fuck that song is. Juvenile Delinquent up next. He's not doing that. Anyways, that's what we got in the world of Twitter this week, Zeus.
All right, let's go to the Book of Fays, the great Aaron Nierenberg. Interesting episode. Haven't seen both within the last year. I think I'm good at seeing neither ever again. It's not worth it. I don't think either one is a great frontman. Even back in the 80s and 90s, Ace was not a great frontman. Bad reputation of Thin Lizzy cover. No fucking shit. We heard it 100 times now. Anyways, Tales of the Tape. 4 duplicates, Deuce, Parasite, Rock and Roll Night, Shout It Out Loud. Gene does 5 covers. Ace does 1 and does 8 Kiss songs he didn't originally sing. When I saw Ace, Love Her All I Can was a jam without vocals. Gene's band teased larger than life. Gene is trying to be like Dean Martin or Jerry Lewis type, but he's not wearing a tux. Ace is Ace. Yeah, as I say later, he's doing the Shecky Green fucking imitations there.
He just gets up there and says gymnasium into the microphone.
2 weeks in a row, Tom, Joe Morris is not positive.
What? Well, we've gotten to him.
Yeah, they both could use improving.
Ooh, that is Joe Morris being negative.
Oh,
that's his way of being negative.
If he's saying that, good Lord.
If he's saying that, you're fucked.
Brad Rustoven from
the Slam Fest podcast, better known as Backpack Brad.
Bad fucking what was the other one called?
Bad Take Brad. What did you call him?
Bad Take Brad. Great topic, gentlemen, with Ace and Gene both out there doing shows. I won't attend another Ace show no matter what he plays. Just can't do it. I haven't seen him live since Creatures Fest in 2022. Based on Gene's current set list, his uncomfortable stage banner, and inviting fans on stage, no thanks, I'll pass. Regarding Gene's interview on The Shark, he really didn't say anything that we didn't already know about Kiss Storm's Vegas. To be honest, Gene likely doesn't even know what he signed up for. The event is 6 months away. The hot button comment was, it ain't a concert. We're going to do none of that stuff. I believe he's referring to the full Kiss show, makeup, costumes, and stage show. Listen to it again. I think that's where he's going with that comment. Oh, no. Ronnie Bachowski.
Oh,
fuck God. Ace and Gene. Christ. Peepaw Fraley belongs in a goddamn home. In a goddamn home watching Matlock reruns. And I don't mean the Kathy Bates bullshit. Gene can still pull it off, but the set list is a bucket of bullfuck. Either the same shit we've been hearing for years or some let me stroke my own bone because Van Halen horseshit. Why can't they just ride off into the sunset and leave themselves with some fucking dignity instead of trying to continuously fuck us for more money? Ace, I get continuing because he's dumber than shit on a shoe and can't manage money. Gene, though, has more money than Christ. Just fucking stop. For the love of fuck. Only going to hear comments like this on Shout It Out Loudcast.
Yeah, from moving forward, Ronnie really needs to tell us how he feels. He's just being too evasive with us.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
Bobby Kenner, boys, I enjoyed your discussion as usual. Really can't add much here. You pretty much nailed it. I haven't seen Ace in a couple years, but I've had a good feeling for his and his band sound. Gene and his band sound amazing. Tishu is an absolute beast on the drums, including his solo. I would give the edge to Gene compared to Ace, too. Would I have enjoyed 3 or 4 more deep cuts and less banner? Yes. Did I still walk out of the show having been entertaining? Also, yes. A bonus was that I really liked the Iron Maidens, and they were a solid opening for Gene. Hey, we're hearing it from all sides, right?
So let me just quickly chime in here. So there's only so many, like, concert dollars you can spend, right? Like if somebody gave us tickets to see Gene, me and Zeus would have gladly gone and probably had a wonderful time. But we didn't get free tickets. We didn't expect free tickets. No one's getting free tickets. We got to pay for them. I just don't want to put my concert fund towards that. And you'll hear what we think of more in detail. I'll stop there because Eddie when we bring Eddie in, we'll get into that, but we'll talk about it.
You sound like the line from Jailhouse Rock, Tom. What? I asked for nothing. I expected nothing, and I got nothing. And then Elvis replies back to him, well, what'd you expect for nothing? I love that.
Don't give Gene any ideas. That's how he'll open his show next week.
I asked for nothing. You expect nothing. So fuck you. You're getting nothing.
You want a 12-year-old playing the drums? You got it.
You sound like Red. You want to talk to somebody? Who you want
exactly.
Tim Komenchuk says, Eddie Trunk been trying all week to get a discussion on this very topic. Well, we will be discussing that on this topic in a little bit. Just hold your horses. You'll get it.
Yep.
Let's go to Loudcasters. And there's like 50 fucking comments here. The great thing about you guys is these are all interaction comments. Yeah. They're not, here's our post, and then there's 10 fucking us links, and the 10 comments are our fucking links to our show. No.
Well, they listen. They're good.
Yeah, we don't have to push them to fucking see our links. Right. It's fucking silly. Here we got and I got to pick through these things. So, and again, when we do these live.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't pick these out before we go on and record. So
the only thing that's prepared is the topic. That's it. We don't have like our all comments lined up and ready. None of that's ready to go.
Nope. Here's a Greek name, Pericles Tsoukalos. To me, what counts is that both of their set lists are far better than Kiss's set list. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I give Kiss ain't playing House of Pain and fucking Motorhead covers. So, although I'd rather hear the band House of Pain. I'd rather hear Gene do Jump Around than the fucking song House of Pain.
Jump around. Is that the one with...
I'm the cream of the crop. I rise to the top.
I'll serve your ass like John McEnroe.
Exactly.
Is that
If
the
your
one with
girl
the two-
steps up, I'm smacking the hoe.
With the little crisscross people?
No.
Remember Jump?
Oh,
the
that's
Mac Daddy will take
that's
a
Chris. That's Jump. Yeah, the two little kids that wore their clothes backwards.
Warm it up, Gene. I'm about to.
Don't get them confused with ABC, Another Bad Creation. Aisha,
That's at the
I
playground.
want you so bad.
At the playground, you know. Playground.
There you go. There's your 90s R&B hip-hop minute.
If your girl steps up, I'm smacking the hole.
Word to your mom, I came to drop bombs.
I'm Gene Simmons, and I'm going to drop a bomb in your bathroom. Anyway, Ray Gallus. It's ironic that Ace played 2 nights before Gene in New Jersey. I have no interest in seeing Ace. I saw him play at a car dealership in Jersey a few years ago, and he struggles to play. But I went to Gene's show in Red Bank. Gene's band was outstanding. The set list was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
With the exception of Deuce, the oldies songs were a dud. I want deep cuts. The highlights for me was House of Pain, Van Halen demo,
come on.
Ace of Spades, Motorhead, Bad Reputation, Thin Lizzy, and the brilliant version of the Beatles and Your Bird Can Sing. Overall, Gene was entertaining. The show was good, but not quarantine level of great.
Oh, okay.
Interesting little tip of the hat to our buddy Jericho and his band there.
Wow.
Anthony, don't call me Mike Hunt. A few years ago, they toured Australia together. It was great. Ace opened, Gene headline, and both had Jeremy and Ryan. It was perfect. Sitting on the fence is starting to hurt my balls.
Good one.
Julian Grandison. Julian, you got to check out your Patreon messages. I sent you one. You just check it out. You got something I need to talk to you, go over with you. By the way, if Gene is playing arenas, there's no way he plays deep cuts. He should have booked more realistic sized venues, and then maybe he'd have felt more able to be creative with the set list. Yeah, but that's saying that he actually cares about changing the set list, right?
True.
The great Lana Cooper. We love our female loudcasters.
Absolutely we do.
I give the advantage to Gene, but neither set list knocks my socks off. Gene gets the edge because I'll take an overabundance of fan interaction any day over Ace acting like he's annoyed the fans showed up to help him pay down his IRS debt. When Ace is on, he's on. You can't deny his place in rock history or his inventiveness on guitar, but it's too much of a crapshoot to shell out his asking price for the privilege of hearing him fart his way through Shock Me, sounding like the bastard offspring of Carol Channing and Bobcat Goldthwait. Even on a good day, Ace's vocals are lacking.
Yeah.
Both Gene and Ace are smart enough to surround themselves with great musicians who can pick up the slack. I hope both bands are well paid because they are carrying a lot. Gene's Borscht Belt humor is good in small doses, but the vast majority of crowd came to hear a rock show, not the second coming of Henry Youngman.
Oh, Kenny Youngman, the king of the one-liners.
Yeah. I think that's nice that Gene incorporates the fans into the show, but that shtick is better suited to a very small gig like his Vault experience with 20 people. Everyone's in good spirits. Everyone gets a turn to jam with Gene and go home happy. But when you're playing to an audience of hundreds, not everyone's going to get that turn, but they still have to suffer through amateur hour eaten into the set list. The audience paid top dollar to see professionals play, not the rock and roll equivalent of their kid's dance recital.
100%.
Overall, Gene wins for sounding good vocally and making the effort to put on a unique show, even if it doesn't totally hit the mark. Wow.
And I think the thing that's even worse about that is, not everybody is on social media. Not everybody is on Facebook and Twitter, so they don't see this stuff. They're like, oh, Gene Simmons is touring. I'm going to buy a ticket. And they're like, at least, it's not fair to do those types of little things without letting your audience know that you're going to do those things. I guess that's my point. You're spending $100, $150, and you're spending half the time telling jokes and having little kids get up there and do, little School of Rock shit.
Yeah, and what you get into, and the issue is like, hey, this is my favorite song. I want to hear it. oh my God, he's going to play charisma. Yeah, and here comes 4 little kids coming out to sing it.
Exactly.
You're like, what the fuck?
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
John Whiteman. Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
I'm glad they're both out there playing shows, but I'm not super excited about seeing either of them. But I think I enjoy Ace's more than Gene's. The momentum-killing jokes, shtick, bringing people on stage is so strange. And apparently
right.
Gene isn't selling merch. New Kiss-Tard conspiracy theory. Gene's Pop House deal is somewhat prevent him from providing a traditional concert merch experience. Oh, well,
I don't know about that because Gene has his own website and sells his own Gene Simmons merch. So the fact that it's not...
We talk about that with Eddie.
Yeah, we do. We get it. Yeah, we get into it.
Yeah. Keith Ross. I have to say I was in total agreement with this episode. I, too, passed on both Ace show and Gene show. I have zero interest in seeing Ace Frehley anymore because I think his band is great, but he is terrible. I have no interest in seeing Gene when I saw a clip of him playing Shout It Out Loud. I know he played charisma, and that's real cool, but he could have done She Watching You all the way, X-Ray Eyes. He has many great deep cuts that he just chooses to ignore. It's truly aggravated me. As much as I love the band the last 5 years, they've disappointed me time and time again. Just my opinion.
Yep. Good point, Keith. Keith's a good guy. Keith's a good guy. I like Keith.
Paul Heider. I've listened to and loved you guys for a long time now. So after listening to this episode's rant about the Vegas show, I've come to the realization that most Kiss fans are like abused goldfish. You're swimming around the same shit you've been swimming around for 25 years, and every single time those painted faces pop into view, you think they're going to feed you something different. Maybe clean your tank, at least change the scenery. When they don't do any of that, in fact, they even drop a deuce or two of their own in the tank, everybody's mind is blown all over again. How can they do this to us? And then, question mark, they're all back swimming around shit, wondering if something new and different will happen today. Oh, wait, it's Gene and Paul. They're looking at us. Oh, boy, this is going to be great. Oh, well, it could be worse. Ace might notice you.
That's a good point. He's right. It's sad. It is sad.
Yeah. Let's go to one more, and that is Gordon Duncan. I love this episode. Thanks to the shout-out. Listen to the set list. Definitely got me thinking. I know Ace wants to play crowd favorites, DRC and Deuce, but I just don't get why he doesn't play more of his own tunes. Honestly, it's probably because he knows the favorites don't have to rehearse. I would love to see Gene for the unique experience, but honestly, I can't imagine everyone really wants to have Van Halen and Motorhead covers. The crowd is full of diehard Kiss fans, and I would want something different than the last 20 years. This is where deep cuts matter. If by any chance Gene is in the area, I'll go because there are a limited number of times to see him at this point. But it's amazing that we're still talking about set lists. Come on, guys, do better. Thanks as always, T&Z. I'm racing this weekend, so I look forward to listening and trying not to laugh too much. Well, you have a nice long episode this week, so
awesome,
thanks, Gordon.
Good luck on your race, Gordon. You're going to have a great episode to listen to. So
over on YouTube, David TikToker 6031. Bad Reputation is a Thin Lizard cover. All right, we know.
Thank you. Captain
Lou lived in my town. Saw him all the time. He always put on a great show with my young sons with me. He had a big heart. Captain Lou, and he's getting a lot of love on the show lately because we brought up Wise Guys and everyone's favorite fucking comment. But if you ask Captain Lou how he's doing, he would say,
angry. Right, take it easy. Fucking angry.
Nice.
Marty White. I have to support Gene in his continued insistence on including Shout It Out Loud in the set. Nothing like a 75-year-old thumbing his nose at his parents and throwing a neighborhood party.
That is a good one. That's a good call right there.
P.S. Awesome that you got Johnny Brennan on Dorm Damage. Quite an honor. Very, very proud of you.
Exactly. Thank you.
Another one, Joseph Kiss Jr. You know it's going to be a good episode when there's a Captain Lou Albano mention right after the fucking, right out of the gate.
That shouldn't be too complicated, even for you two fucking stunads.
Stunads. I love that.
Oh, my God. That's the greatest movie. On the Ace story, I totally believe it. My experience with meeting Ace a couple times, it never had any better than just a meh interaction. With the Gene interview, I agree with you guys 100%. If you're trying to sell an expensive package to this event, this was the worst way possible to market it. Pop-Out should probably send out the next guest announcements very soon to squash the damage that Gene did with this interview. If they have any big names to announce, they better do it this time. Oh, Patrick 2420 says, don't touch the chrome, don't touch the upholstery, don't touch the windows, don't touch nothing.
Don't touch the chrome! Don't touch the windows! Don't touch the upholstery! Don't touch nothing!
Nice. Zeus came strapped and ready to go tonight.
Oh, yeah. All right, Tom, back to you.
All right, we got a bunch of things on Instagram here. Let's see. Rise to it 89. Just saw Gene. His band is incredible. Indeed, they are. Ant Crete 22 says Gene Simmons for sure. Our buddy Abusement says advantage Gene for both setlist and performance, but goddamn, I wish you would be playing more deep cuts like Sweet Dirty Love or Killer instead of the covers and so much banter. As for the Ace show that I saw, 4 songs into the set, a fan next to me said it was his IRS tour, to which I replied, yes, the I'm really sloppy tour. It was like watching Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards. Not hating on Ace, in fact, my son is named Ace. Just hate seeing the deterioration of a legend. Wow, your son's named Ace. All right. Eddie Danger says the videos from the Gene show look like chaos. Fun deep cuts, but chaos when all the people get on stage. Yep. We can speak for that because it was what he did when we went to the Vegas event 2 years ago. DVD Obscura says Gene should tour as the Demon. He could be in full Kiss makeup garb and his band could be dressed in cloaks, black hoods, and they could play only the heavy Gene songs. That would be awesome, and it would bring everybody out of the woodwork to see. Not sure if he could do it since he sold off the makeup trademark, but god damn it would be cool. That would be fucking boss. Eric MCP Rock All Over Your Podcast. Gene, I'm sorry, but never been an Ace fan except for when he's in Kiss. On his own, I don't care much. Dave Rockstar, another interesting episode, guys. I hate having to choose, as it's like picking your favorite child. But I was lucky enough to see Gene play in Melbourne, Australia in 2018 on his solo show, and he had Ace open for him as a special guest. Then at the end, they did a couple of songs together. Both sounded great and used the same band. However, in terms of set list, nothing could beat seeing the Paul solo show in 2007. His voice was fantastic then. I still think it was the best concert I've ever been to, as he did so many deep cuts and no covers. Anyway, my advice is to just go and have fun if you can afford a ticket, as these guys won't be around forever. That's a great point, Dave. Our buddy Glenn Barth. Hey, boys. I will take Gene over Ace anytime. I've seen both guys with the same band, and it's Gene hands down. He's my guy, but he's not immune to any critique. Though he's a bit new to touring solo, Gene's show has become less of an event after a few years. In 2018, some of the songs were Got Love for Sale, Radioactive, and Wall of Sound. 2025, he's got cover songs replacing these slots. He goes on his socials earlier this year stating that the band is in rehearsals, quote, playing deep cuts like spit. Oh, you mean practicing one deep cut? If posting that the band is in rehearsals sounds familiar to you, it should. Kiss was also in rehearsals before starting the final 50 shows. What the fuck are you rehearsing? The same shit you've been playing? It just stinks of laziness. Please put in some fucking effort. The 6 most important words from last week's episodes came from Zeus saying, quote, you've got to earn that ticket. Gene and Ace do not earn that ticket. Only the most hardcore Kiss fans will go see those two. That number of fans is slowly dwindling and will continue to shrink if they don't change things up. Thanks, Tom and Zeus, for continuing to produce shows that keep us coming back for more. Hey, Gene, hear what I said there? Ooh, that's a good comment. Excellent stuff there, Glenn. Love it, buddy. Our Finnish friend, Jani Aslak Rasanen. I went to see Gene and his band in Kuopio, Finland last summer. Even though I was somewhat entertained, like everyone else, I was disappointed with the set list. I actually overheard the head of the Kuopio Rock Festival say that he was extremely disappointed in Gene's performance. He's a fan, but not a Kiss tard, so I guess he was expecting more Kiss songs. The volume of cover songs was a bummer. The Van Halen demo track is a weak and uneventful song to begin with and didn't do anything for anybody in the crowd. Why not play Running with the Devil if you absolutely must play a Van Halen song? Then again, if the Demon insists on playing a Lemmy tune, why not go for Hellraiser? I understand why they didn't play Firestarter since Prodigy was the other headliner of the festival. Yeah, that was on Gene's Asshole album. Because the show happened at a festival, the set was only about 80 minutes, maybe even shorter. No encores, but that was probably due to the curfew of an outdoor event. In the end, I was glad I went, but unless he comes to my hometown, I'm not going to see him again knowing what to expect. And with all the cancellation of shows, I guess I'm not the only one who feels that once was enough. Thanks for another great episode and all the best from Finland. Let's see if we get a chance to kick each other's butt in the Hockey World Championship, Zeus.
Okay.
Lou Acosta. Hey, guys, wanted to hit you with a couple things. First up, I saw the Gene Show in Huntington, New York. This is my exact review I posted on the Ticketmaster site. And then he goes, this is a very long review, and we appreciate you taking the time, Lou, to share that to us, but that would be a separate episode. But thank you, Lou. We always appreciate your feedback. And again, we did read your email. We just don't have the time to read every word of it on the show. Our buddy Jim Riley, Shout Out Loudcast Hall of Famer here. I saw Ace in 2022. It was okay. His band was excellent. It was 70-year-old Ace. Lita Ford showed up, but I have not seen Gene yet. Good to know these two original members of KISS don't use substances and chemicals to numb themselves. And thanks to Sebastian Bach for the plug, the hottest podcast in the land. Yeah, that's right, Jim. Our buddy West Beach. Okay, Zeus, how about those Knicks now?
Oh, go fuck yourself. You fucking, fuck yourself, Wes, in the nicest possible way.
And then he says, sorry to see Tatum go down with that injury. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Just dude, this is what loserdom does. This is what we used to be like before 2001. Oh, fucking, we won a round in the playoffs. Oh, my God. Dude, fucking act like you've been here before.
But they haven't. That's so they can't. Anyways, great episode as always, and like you, both your guys suggested playlist for Gene. He's taken no chances with his current set list and seems like it's just promoting the KISS brand and not the Gene Simmons band, much like Paul's reluctance to do deep cuts on the End of the Road tour. In the past, Gene took more chances and even tried out Love's a Deadly Weapon on a few shows. And if he's hell-bent on doing Ace of Spades, I would rather hear him sing it rather than Brian. The rest of his current set, with only a couple of exceptions, suffers from fatigue and why I have no interest in seeing this incarnation of his band. Once again, I almost feel like this is worthy of a Festivus response. Well, it might be. At least going to an Ace show is like driving slowly past an accident scene to see what the hell just happened. Keep up the good work, fellas. Always tuned in, Wes. Well, thank you, Wes. We're going to finish up our feedback here with an email from our buddy Scott Greer. T&Z. Simply put, this episode is another reason why Shout It Out Loudcast is phenomenal. You took an opportunity, Gene and Ace both on tour, and made a great episode from it. Topical, informative, and fun. That's you two in a nutshell. I'm going to listen to it again on my trip to Chicago this week, in addition to previous episodes, as they make great trip companions. In the words of Ace at the break, my email will now stop talking. Scott, love you, buddy. Simple email right there to the point, but you get it. We take a topic and we try to make it informative. Yes. We try to make it fun. Yes. And you're going to get that when you hear Eddie. That's what we do every week. That's what we try to do every week. And I love that you get it. And I love that you take the time to send us emails like this, commenting on it and sharing how you feel and spreading the good word of Shout It Out Loudcast. So thank you, Scott. And for that, my friend, you are the comment of the week.
Good answer. Good answer. I like the way you think. I'm going to be watching you.
Thank you, Scott. And also, thank you, Patreon. We always want to give time to Patreon and appreciate what they do and how much they support us. We love our Patreon members. We're well over 100 at this point. And man, the family just kicks ass. The support you guys give us allows us to go get bigger and better and get guests like Eddie Trunk and other people to join us and have fun. So Patreon members, thank you. And if you want to become a Patreon member and support the show, you go to shoutitoutloudcast.com, our website.
Go to him.
And you see Patreon right on the website. It's newly designed. It's still right there in front of you, visible. You click on it. You see the 4 different tiers, and with each tier, you get 4 different packages. Some with a little bit more merch, more involvement, more polls, more everything. Each tier is separate. Catman, Spaceman, Star Child, and the Demon tier. You get merch, you get involvement in the show, you get video chats, you get polls, you name it. and you become part of the Patreon family and the message boards. It's just fucking fantastic.
Yep.
We love it. We love our Patreon family, and we love if you listening out there would join our Patreon family and increase the fold. So make sure you go to the website, sign up for Patreon, and become a member today.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Patreon is amazing. It keeps expanding and growing. The family is great. The community is amazing. So thank you guys for so much for everything that you do. Whether you're brand new, you've been there since day one, or somewhere in between, it doesn't matter. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Please check us out. Click on the Patreon link at shoutitoutloudcast.com and find out how you can join the family.
Tom, we're going to go to Kiss World. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. A couple of Gene appearances. He was on Good Morning America today. We're recording on Wednesday, May 14th. You know, pretty much the standard stuff. But Gene did seem to maybe try to do a little bit of damage control, or at least kind of soften the blow of his comments about Kiss Army storms Vegas. He did an interview with the Jim Kerr Rock and Roll Morning Show on New York City's Q104.3. And he said, quote, "This is not a Kiss concert. We promised that when we sold the IP to Pop House, an amazing company, they're futurists, about a year and a half ago when we finished touring at Madison Square Garden. There's going to be a film. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming up. We promised we would never tour again because, as you noticed, I'm stunning in real life. And that when you want it, when you're on top, get out of the ring. Don't wait for some chump to knock you out. We've all seen boxers and rockers and everything that stayed around too long. 50 years, half a century is plenty of time." He says, "We want to honor the group's fans. That's what we're doing. We're showing up for a fan-run event. 3 days in November at the Virgin Hotel. Be there or be square. And it's really for the fans. There'll be a lot of questions if they want a back rub or anything. But it's not a Kiss concert. We'll jump up and jam, but certainly we're not bringing the flying rigs and 60 people on the crew and the jets and all that stuff. Other bands will pop up on stage and stuff, but it's really a chance to be more intimate with the fans. Actually, to be cornball about it to our bosses. Because without the fans, I would surely have been asking the next person in line, would you like some fries with that?"
We never heard him say that before, have we?
Jesus Christ. He is like one of those dolls where you pull the string on the back and you don't know which pre-recorded vocal saying you're going to get. I mean, whatever, Gene.
The record industry is dead because of the fans. They killed it.
Oh, okay, Gene. Thanks. You know it all. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, it's kind of quiet. Again, really no news on Kiss Army Storms Vegas. Really no news on anything. I know right now the Unmasked merch is shipping out. Some of your Kiss Army fan packages are shipping out right now. Kind of quiet, Zeus.
Yeah. Well, let's move on and let's get ready to bring Eddie in.
Stop. Don't talk anymore. You know, I've been looking at the... Hello?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Fucking incredible.
Without for any further ado, here is the great Eddie Trunk.
All right, this week we welcome back friend of the show, repeat guest. You know him, you love him, you read his books, but more than anything, you're listening to him on Channel 103, Faction Talk Radio on SiriusXM. The great Eddie Trunk is here to join us again to talk some Kiss, and there is plenty going on right now. Eddie, what's up, buddy? How are you?
You forgot Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer.
God damn it! You know what? Eddie, you passed the test. You remembered that.
Come on, man. That's one of my greatest honors.
And by the way, you should be a Hall of Famer just for this.
I'm hearing shit in the background. What is that?
I have loaded up this stream deck with fucking 90% of that interview, and it cracks Tom up, and I love it because I can play it out of the blue, and he has like a serious thought, and it just fucks him up.
It cracks me up. I told you guys that when I emailed you. I love listening. I love listening to the show, and I hear these drops, and I know they're from that interview. And I'm like, oh my God.
They're all from that interview.
So we now use it for our breaks. Stop talking.
The other one that I love, which I know it's not from my interview because he doesn't talk to me, but is the interview is the thing you the Paul drop, which I'm assuming is from his audiobook about he has an 8-inch dick or something.
No, that's the Peter comment.
Oh, he's talking about
talks
Peter.
about Peter's. This is it, basically.
I have a 9-inch dick.
Yeah, he says he meets Peter, and Peter says, "I have a 9-inch dick." The Paul stuff from his book is gold as well.
Oh yeah,
and it's from Amit Zappa's buddy there, Richard, who works with him.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah,
you know Richard.
Yeah. He's great. Yep.
He got me like he's helped me out so much with audio and stuff. Fan-fucking-tastic. Future Hall of Famer, by the way, because of all the shit that he did. But I went immediately to your interview and immediately to Paul's book. It's just fucking gold, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in that interview with Ace. There's, somebody just brought up to me the other day, the other classic moment with him with the, when he threatened to, if he didn't get the apology from Paul and all that, and said like when he went like full Goodfellas on my show. And,
Eddie, we dedicated 2 consecutive episodes to that.
I remember
because everybody was bracing themselves. We're like, did he just give Paul an ultimatum? Like, that was incredible.
There's
my favorite part about that. And people to this day are mad that I talked Ace off the ledge and told him not to spill, but I still feel good with that conversation, that decision, because I don't want, contrary to what people think, I do not like drama or confrontation. But it's funny because one of my favorite ones about that, not to go down that rabbit hole, was Ace talking about getting the call, but it couldn't have been from Paul because he has AT&T and Paul has Verizon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what does it matter what cell phone service you have? If like I don't, I have Verizon. I don't know what you guys have. I'm using my phone right now. Like, what's the difference? Like, I couldn't be talking to Tom and Zeus because they have T-Mobile and I have Verizon. How could that be? Like, what?
Somebody got in his ear and told him stupid shit, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Hey, so Eddie, the timing of you coming on here is perfect because I was telling Zeus. So Zeus doesn't have SiriusXM. Sometimes he listens with the app. Sometimes
Tom's password.
Not my password, but that's okay.
All good.
But I get in my car every day on my ride home at 3:00. So I obviously follow you on social media. I heard you were going to talk about Gene and stuff. I'm like, oh, here we go. And as I'm listening to it, I'm texting Zeus. I'm like, dude, Eddie is saying literally everything we're saying about this Gene tour, from the set list, from his crowd interaction, and the thing that I love too is when you were done with your your criticism or whatever you want to call it, you were like, yep, and I know there's going to be plenty of Kiss fans out there that are going to love it and think it's fantastic, and boom, we see it a lot. But I'll tell you what, Eddie, there's a lot more people. I think they feel comfortable now being like, yeah, this tour's kind of fucked up what Gene is doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is one of the ultimate bummers for me. Because I had such anticipation and such high hopes for it.
We all did, yeah.
I was very concerned because, when they did tour Europe last year, and I remember that set list was super questionable and disappointing. And I said, and then the things I were hearing back were, well, they're festival shows. It's not just their shows. They got to keep the fans involved. And okay, all right, whatever. But then to do these dates, and, more than half of them got canceled, obviously tickets, and cost because the price is so high on the tickets. And again, I have two of my best friends are in his band. And let me just say, the stuff I say is not coming from them at all. Like, I would never, I don't involve them in this. It's just, everyone knows I'm open to saying how I feel. And I was so excited about this because I know how great the band is. I know Jason. Jason's a Vegas guy. I don't know him as well as Brent and Brian. Brent and Brian I've known forever and very close friends and amazing musicians. But Jason I've known for a few years now because he's a Vegas guy. When I'm there, I see him and I see him play with his own band and all that. So I was so excited about this. And to get, just look at Creatures of the Night alone. We've been getting War Machine and I Love It Loud for 40 years.
I know.
Now's the chance we could have got Saint and Sinner.
Right.
or Killer.
Yep.
Or just something different. And I don't get it. And as much as I love Brent, nobody's going to see Gene Simmons to hear Brent sing an obscure Thin Lizzy song. And I love Thin Lizzy.
Yep.
Nobody's going to Gene Simmons to hear Brian sing Ace of Spades. Nobody's going to Gene Simmons to hear an obscure Beatles song that they never even played live. Like, what is going on here? So there's, from the super obvious burnt into the ground songs to covers for reasons no one can understand, to honestly, you know, as much as Gene can be entertaining, I mean, when I went to the show, after every song, he said, well, we're not going to do a lot of talking because we have a lot of music to play. And then he would proceed to talk for 20 minutes.
I know.
And just none of it makes sense to me. And it's just so maddening because of how good it can be. Like, the only moment in the show that I saw that I got excited about was Charisma.
That's it.
And with the show I went to, they played 60 seconds of Plastercaster. I have it on video. And then, but without Gene, and then Gene walks out and he goes, we don't really know that one, and stops it. I'm like, well, why? You had months to prepare. And then for years, all this guy has been doing is bragging about how many records they've sold and how many records they have. Now's your chance to play it. Those guys could play any Kiss song in their sleep. They're hardcore fans. Play the catalog. I don't get it. And the last part is Gene is still good. Gene can still sing.
Yep.
The band is still good. I just look at it as this enormously lost opportunity, and I wanted it to be great. I was so all in. And when they play songs, don't get me wrong, it's great. They're great players, but why are we hearing these same songs over that we've just heard for 50 years?
Yeah, it's funny. And then the other big thing, too, is, Zeus and I have talked about this. When we did the Vegas event back in 2003, the Dinner with Gene, that weekend event, his band did perform for us. And it was like kind of like a private event. And, he played Charisma and he did the jokes and he pulled people up on stage and had that interaction. And we thought that was like part of like that special private interactive event. I had no idea in any way, shape, or form that was going to be the tour. I think everybody thought the tour would be similar to Ace, a string of songs, maybe some deep cuts, maybe not. But the fact that he's, look, and I don't want to sound like I'm like heartless or a mean person. I'm sure the people he's pulling up on stage are having a wonderful time and it's the time of their life. But I'm not paying $100 for Gene Simmons to bring up a bunch of kids to sing Shout It Out Loud. That to me, that's disrespecting the fans that are buying your ticket. That's just my harsh opinion, I guess, if you want to call it. I don't know.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, yeah, sure, it's nice if somebody has organically a moment like that, but to have sing along every night with Uncle Gene or whatever, I don't get the point of that. It's like, why? Give me a 90-minute lean, mean, come out there and blow people's heads off. Give me Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Give me Larger Than Life. And look, I get you got to still do Deuce. I get you might do the Cold Gin here and there. I get that. You might have spiked that in to keep the casuals involved. Great. But I don't understand the logic of it all. And, I know Doc's not involved in this. I know he's doing it very bare bones. Like there's not even a bus. So, why it's like that, I don't know. But, and again, look, Gene is, let's just say, a very self-confident guy. Gene certainly doesn't need my counsel or feedback. But if he ever did, I'd love to very diplomatically and nicely just be like, hey, man, like, what's going on here? Because no one can figure it out. And look, I'll tell you one other thing, and I'll cut people off right off the bat that are saying this because I deal with this. Like, well, he doesn't say anything about Ace's set list. Yeah, I do. I do. Because I don't need to hear Ace playing Love Gun or Detroit Rock City or any of that. Now, granted, Ace has a right to play those songs because he played on the records. Right. But at the same token, I'd like to see Ace put in a better mix of music. But here's a big difference. Ace hasn't been in Kiss for the last 40 years. Right. Ace is out there trying to make a living. Ace is approaching this differently. He needs repeat business. He's playing every weekend. He needs to keep the casuals involved and hardcore fans involved too. So he's trying to create a balance. And for Gene was just doing this. I don't think this is going to be an ongoing thing for Gene. This was something that, like, I think most people looked at as like, finally, here's our chance to hear Trial by Fire. So I don't know, just something different. And to get the same thing we've just gotten from him, who's been in Kiss since day one, it's head scratching. And the covers and the presentation, it's frustrating.
So I will add that Gene would probably say,
you're in the Kiss business, baby.
And it's about money. A couple of things have popped up and there's been suggested, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Besides him doing the Shecky Green routine, like the stand-up bullshit that he does, it's beyond frustrating because it almost makes Paul's Asylum stage banter sound listenable. It's putrid. So you got that issue. Then you're like, well, wait a minute. He will do one or two deep cuts, charisma or spit, but he's bringing up fucking two 12-year-olds to sing it with them. So you're fucking up the one song I want to hear by bringing kids up. I can only imagine what the band thinks. They're up there rocking. They're doing this shit. Hold on. Let me step aside, get this fat fucking sweaty guy to get on my drum set to fuck up everything. And it just kills momentum. The one thing I heard is this might be a pop house issue. Hey, Gene, you're making money for Gene Simmons right now. That's not being filtered to Kiss, which we just spent a shit ton of money. So we're not going to have you go out there and just play a bunch of Kiss songs. You gotta cut back on how many Kiss songs you can play. Maybe that's an issue. And I know Paul ain't gonna want him having somebody in his band singing Paul songs, especially not better than him.
Right.
So he's limited to Gene songs. But why the fuck is Shout It Out Loud? Is anybody going to see Gene right now and go, oh, I need to hear him do Shout It Out Loud? No. When he did his tour with Ryan and Jeremy and all those guys that jumped on with Ace, and we missed him, and it's the greatest regret I ever did. He came up and played in Lynn. He was doing shit like She's So European.
Dude, I have the set list right here. So he did on that tour. I have the set list right here. He still did a couple covers and still did Shout It Out Loud and Deuce. But listen to these deep cuts he pulled out. He played Almost Human. He played I. He played Sweet Pain. She's So European. Charisma. It's My Life. He threw in stuff that people want to hear, mixed in with some Beatles covers and mixed in with War Machine and Rock and Roll Night. But he was giving people more. Like Almost Human, Sweet Pain. That's what you want to hear. Why change that? Why change that now?
Because there is nobody in his ear that is telling him, dude, nobody is paying for this shit. Nobody wants to hear this shit. He is such a fucking bubble that he can go out there and do it. There's no need for him to change it. Fucking Kiss fans will still pay money for it. But he did learn a hard lesson because those dates were most definitely canceled because he charged too much. And people are like, fuck that. I ain't paying that for this shit. He fucked himself with that stuff. And
100%. Zeus, I mean, a couple things on your point. So
yeah, go ahead.
The Pop House thing, actually on the air on my radio show today, that came up. I don't know the nature of that deal. It would be very odd to me that there would be language in there that would say you can only play 70%, 60% Kiss if you tour. That just seems odd. If you pay the publishing, you pay the ASCAP BMI. I mean, they can't a tribute band could do it. I mean, I don't know. Now, could they have put language specific to Gene and Paul to protect them from doing that? I don't know. It just seems really, really odd if that was the case.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it's impossible, but it just seems odd. It could have just been more like a gentleman's agreement, or it could have been in the writing. I could have been in the deal, but it just seems odd to me. And even if that is in the deal, so the 60% of Kiss songs you are playing, to your point, play cool songs, right. Like just do that. The Paul stuff, if you remember when he first started doing this, there were Paul songs in the set, and Jason was singing them. Those all came out. He put the kibosh on that. Paul's like,
100%.
You ain't doing my songs with your band. Go do your own songs. Yeah. But here's the beauty of it. half of the Kiss catalog is Gene songs. No problem.
Yeah.
You can still put together an amazing set list out of Gene's solos, out of Gene's songs on Kiss records. So, you bring up Spit. Okay, I'm not. I'm one of the few that feel Revenge is overrated, but whatever.
Yeah, I know.
But still, yeah, you got kids up there singing "The bigger the cushion, the better the pushing," hysterical. And then halfway through Spit, they kick in a whole lot of love.
Yeah, I don't get that. What are you doing?
So you're not even getting the full thing. It's just there's so many questions. But the Pop House theory is an interesting one. I'd love to know, and if that was the case, he should come out and say it. But I just find that really hard to believe. And you're right. I mean, whether the set list has hurt the business, I don't know. I mean, I can't help. But also, it's the ticket price too. And look, that ticket price, anybody who knows anything about touring, is directly related to what he's insisting on a guarantee.
Right.
So, the promoter has to start at $100, $150 ticket. If the act he has to pay is demanding on $100, $150 to play. It's just math. And that's why, more than half of the promoters got out. And the ones that stayed in, look, I went to the show in New Jersey. I'll give you a comparison. Same exact theater. Last week was the Jersey show. I forget what night of the week it was. I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday night, right? Maybe half a house. Seats on the floor, which is always done to eat up space when you don't sell tickets, right?
Yep.
Last night, same exact theater, Marilyn Manson played. Regardless of what you think of Marilyn Manson, advanced sellout. And a friend of mine in the balcony sent me a photo. No seats on the floor, people wedged in like a shoehorn on a Monday night. So, it just goes to show you there's a breaking point on price. And that's another big factor.
My other thing, Eddie, that I've talked to before on the show, with Zeus and whatever, is that, for me personally, and by the way, what's going on in Gene's tour directly affected Zeus and I's decision to not go to the Mohegan Sun Casino. We didn't go Sunday because it's a little bit of a ride and the tickets are expensive. It's second of all, we knew what we were going to get. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And there's no bigger Gene guy than me. But my thing too is Ace has been out of Kiss for 40 plus years. Like you said, Ace has built a brand as a solo artist. He has a discography of Ace Frehley albums. Gene Simmons is the guy from Kiss. So his draw, in my opinion, is not the same draw as Ace. And I think the only way his draw would be big was that if he was doing crazy shit like playing Almost Human, like playing, World Without Heroes or Hate or, Spit, and he's not doing that. So I think the whole thing equals, shows being canceled, people like Zeus and I not going, people who are on our Facebook group commenting with pictures saying, it was pretty good, but it wasn't great. So I just think, to me, my opinion here, and no one's ever told me this, of course, but I just feel like Gene really overplayed his hand on his ability to draw.
Yeah. I mean, look, Tom, I make the case that, Gene's touring solo should be bigger than Ace. Because it
should be. Maybe you're right.
It should be bigger, and it should. But in a way, the whole thing, if you look at it, was kind of not fully realized. It was all kind of done. Again, there was no press release. There was no mark. For the longest time, people were saying, didn't even know who was in the band. They were saying Zach Throne was in the band.
It still said Zach Throne. In Mohegan, it says Zach Throne.
Yeah, so there's nobody running it. There's nobody out front taking the lead. There's nobody doing the marketing.
There's no merch, Eddie.
Yeah,
there's no merch.
Yeah, he's not even selling merch.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not in a bus. They're driving around. It's just Gene put out that thing I invented a new way of touring. Yeah. Well, no, you didn't. The 80s bands have been doing this for 20 years. It's called Fly Dates or whatever. So it's not new, but it is new for an artist who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars to go out there that bare bones not with a crew and traveling with equipment and on a bus and a marketing team and PR. It's just, there's nothing. And it's just like, we're going to show up and with some gear that the promoter is going to get, we're going to go up and play. And again, the frustrating part is the band is so good.
Yeah.
I just look at it as such a huge missed opportunity, and it could be fixed tomorrow. It could be fixed tomorrow, but Gene also would have to be like willing to play ball on the price, because you can't charge people that kind of money to go into a large club or a theater and see something they're not even quite sure what they're getting.
Yeah, but one other thing that you're missing in this piece of the pie, Gene doesn't give a shit really about the guy buying the ticket. They'll sell enough. He'll make his money from that. He gives a shit about the 15, 20 people that do the bass experience and buy his overpriced bass.
Or the roadie experience.
Yeah, or for $7,000 or $10,000 and do the meet and greet where he can, and he will give you a great experience. The one thing I'll give credit to Gene, if you do buy that stuff, he'll give you attention. He'll make you feel like you are his best friend. Right? He makes a shit ton on those. So every date is just an excuse so he can do his bass experience with these people. Plus, I'll make some money with my friends. I'll just play something easy and I got a kick-ass band. Yeah, this is a new way of making extra money. That's why it doesn't matter to him. And he can make those kind of funds and he doesn't give a fuck. But if anybody right now would use what we say on this show, the Dave Chappelle line about, why are you doing this to the fans? Because fuck him. Is that not what he's doing right now? Gene, you have the talent. You have the band. You have the opportunity. People have been waiting for him. Why don't you do it? Because fuck him. That's why. And it's like he knows he can get away with it. Kiss fans will do it. You know how it goes when you have you're a fan of you, and we know you love your Giants, right? If you have an owner in a sport that just will not spend money in your team and you're stuck with them, right? The Florida Marlins or something like that. Guess what? Every time you show up, you're giving the owner the excuse to keep fucking doing it. That's right. They'll learn when you stop showing up. So maybe when Gene sees that, maybe he'll change. But you know what? It's not going to affect him because he's got millions of dollars and he'll still get those base experience dollars.
So do you think so Zeus, do you think he's in denial about, like, let's be honest. I mean, it's a pretty big blow to the ego, I would think, when like 12, 15 shows cancel, obviously. That was the other thing about this tour, speaking of messaging, is the fact that the world kept reporting the Gene Simmons tour was canceled.
That's right. It wasn't.
Some of the shows were, but not all of them. So everyone thought all the shows, every report, Gene Simmons tour canceled. No, it wasn't.
No.
Like 60% of the shows were, but there are still dates that were still happening. So there was confusion with that as well, and nobody got out in front of that. But to your point, don't you think, like, yes, I get the backdoor business is probably the big gain for him, selling bases and all that, no question. But to the ego, it's got to be a little bit of a shot when clubs and theaters all cancel and get their money back, and the ones that are happening are either papered or less than full. I mean, how do you feel if you're Gene, knowing the venue you just played to half a house, the next week Marilyn Manson went in there on a Monday and you couldn't put another person with a shoehorn? The way he thinks of himself, that's got to be like a little bit of like, wait, what am I doing here? Even the business side of him has got to be wondering, unless he's just so happy with the backdoor money he's making.
Exactly, Eddie.
That's it.
You know what
that's
he'll
exactly,
say?
That's
he
exactly
would sit there and look back and be like, Marilyn Manson made $150,000 on that show. Gene Simmons, $250 with half the audience.
Yeah,
Who's
you're right.
doing it right? That's how he's thinking. Yeah, you keep laughing about my audience. I'll laugh when you look at my checking account and see how much I just deposited.
Plus,
he doesn't give a fuck.
Plus the other thing too, and just kind of quickly going back to the set list. And look, I keep saying I always preface my shit by saying how much I love Gene, but at this point, he doesn't give a fuck enough to start rehearsing new songs. He doesn't want to go learn how to play Love 'Em Leave 'Em or learn how to play Got Love for Sale. He doesn't care, because in his mind, like Zeus said, what's that going to sell? 10, 50 extra tickets? It doesn't matter. I can still play House of Pain by Van Halen and tell my story about that, and people are going to love it.
Yeah, and how about the Beatles influence me? And I wrote a song with Bob Dylan, and gymnasium's a big word. He can get his Shecky Green act out and say the same stories and stuff. Bring somebody up stage. Now, I granted that kid may enjoy it. Fuck that the rest of the audience is enjoying that. Because I'm sorry, I didn't pay to listen to three people and a girl sing fucking, whatever song you brought them up there. I came to listen to the band rock.
Right.
Guys, I took a couple photos during the show. About halfway through, when he kept doing all these stop downs and all this talking, the audience, people literally just sitting down, like texting, looking at their phone. Yeah. Let me know when he's going to play another song again. I'll stand up. And there were actually people around me yelling, "Shut up and play a fucking song!" Like, I don't know what's going on there. It's like more of like almost a variety show. The show that I was at, Tommy James, the guy who wrote Moni Moni?
Yeah.
He was there because he's from New Jersey. And it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it, but Gene pulled him up on stage. And it's not what I was there to hear, but I get it. I mean, it was a fun moment. It was okay. It's not an every night thing. But then he brought him up again to sing Rock and Roll All Night with him. And it's just like, I was like waiting for someone to come out and do the soft shoe or something. I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot lately. Like, I think Pearl Jam, was it, that brought up Peter Frampton? Somebody did that recently. I get that. He's going to sing Moni Moni. It's a big hit.
Yeah.
But who cares about the third grade fucking history teacher bringing her up to sing fucking my favorite deep cut Charisma? Like, come on. Yep. But listen, we could deal with this stuff all day, but I want to pivot and get us to talk about Kiss and the Vegas thing. So do you find it interesting, and I think you were friends with him, if I'm not mistaken, that Eric Singer has not been mentioned at all for this yet?
I know Eric. I used to do stuff with Eric. Ever since the Great Divide happened, whatever that is, I don't even know. I see Eric from time to time in Vegas where he lives, and we're cordial, and I say hello, and he says hello, and I don't have any real dialogue with him at all. But that's not for any reason. I would love to do something with him. But I think, to me, and again, this is just me speculating as a fan and knowing the business, to me, that is probably directly related to Pop House. And what I mean by that is, you got to think about this, okay? Tommy and Eric, let's be honest, hired guns, right?
Right.
Get paid a nice salary for however long they've been in the band, and they've got a contract, they've got an agreement. Well, now Pop House is running Kiss. Pop House is running this event. Their name is in the ad mat.
Right.
So Pop House running this event, they're the ones that have to reach out and do deals with everybody to appear. And clearly, so whatever deal Eric had as part of Kiss would not be relevant to this because it doesn't apply because it's a Pop House event.
Right.
So he would have to be comfortable with, and in negotiations, I would think, with Pop House. And clearly, he has not reached an agreement on what they're offering for him to do it. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And that doesn't mean he might not at some point.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because initially Tommy wasn't on it.
Yep.
And Tommy came on board. And if you notice, when he came on board, it was the same time they announced Black and Blue.
Yeah, it was like special guest Tommy Thayer. I'm like, Jesus Christ, the guy's been in the band for 25 years. He's being labeled as a special guest to this event.
Yeah, then if he's not in Kiss, then who's Kiss?
Right.
Right. And who's saying that Tommy Thayer's playing with Kiss? Because he could be playing with Black and Blue. Now, probably not, but you see what I'm saying? Right. There might have been some deal made where it's like, okay, Tommy, we're going to put you on, but we need to do a reunion set with Black and Blue and a couple Kiss songs or whatever. I mean, the Vegas thing seems to be changing daily as to what it actually is. Now you have Gene out there saying, well, it's not really a concert. And I'm like, damn.
He's the worst salesman ever.
Yeah, if I paid $4-6 grand to go to this thing or whatever it is, I damn well better know what I'm getting.
Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about because there is going to be a concert because we're going. And when you buy your tickets, just like when you buy your tickets for a show at Ticketmaster, a seating map pops up and you have to pick your seats to the quote unquote concert. So there is going to be an organized concert ticketed event at this thing in Vegas. So I don't know if Gene is kind of minimizing it or if somebody didn't tell him exactly what the hell's going on, but I can tell you right now, it's not good for sales because a lot of people like, what the fuck is this? It's like a comic book convention where Gene's going to show up and like say hello to people, or what are we doing?
And they do Q&As. Like I have never heard Gene do a Q&A before, or Paul. You're going to get the same generic questions and answers.
And it's
That's
also
what I'm paying for?
From what I hear, I haven't looked at it, but people have called in. I mean, it's still more than available in terms of.
It is.
Absolutely.
So
And Eddie, you said something too that I thought was interesting. We actually talked about it on the show a couple episodes ago, and it never dawned on me until you said it. But this kind of reeks of part of the Pop House deal. Like, okay, Gene and Paul, you guys have to do something once or twice or three times a year to keep Kiss in the public consciousness. And this is the event. And that's why it sounds like Gene is like, yeah, this is a fan event. Well, Zeus said it perfectly last week. If this was a kissonline.com event, Gene would be hyping this up as the biggest thing since, the Kiss Alive tour.
They might not be getting paid on it.
Right.
Because if it's a deal with Pop House, like to your point and what I feel, it might have been in the deal. You've got to do 2 or 3 things for us. I'll give you a comparison. You guys brought up the Giants before, who I love. My baseball team is the Mets, right?
Yep.
One of my best friends is a Hall of Famer for the Mets, Mike Piazza.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike has been retired for years now, right? But Mike has a deal with the Mets that 3 or 4 times in season, he has to show up at Citi Field. He has to wave on the field. He has to help sell some Mets merch. He has to go up in the VIP boxes, shake some hands, and engage with fans. It could be the same deal in the Pop House deal.
Yeah.
Did he get to shake hands with Peter, who was at the stadium the other day? Did you see that?
No, I just saw that he was there the other day. I didn't know that, but
they put him on the Jumbotron. He was on the bench too.
But
had the Mets jersey.
Yeah, Mike's not there every day. He's there He's there like 3-4 times a year. If they make the playoffs, he might have.
They're like ambassadors. Yeah, ambassadors for the Mets.
So it could be the same deal. Like in the Pop House deal, you got to figure if you own and buy a big brand like Kiss, you want the 2 figureheads of Kiss helping you spike it and get it out there. So it could be, hey, 4 times a year we have your services to do something, and here's what we're doing. And Gene and Paul, because they got paid by Pop House, could say, fine, you got to make deals with the other guys. The really interesting thing to me about the Vegas thing is the very quick inclusion from Bruce Kulick.
Yes.
Which I love because I love Bruce. And
us too.
I love that Bruce was quickly put in. But what was surprising to me about that is Bruce was rightfully so very outspoken about the end of Kiss not being included and not being part of the end of the road and the way they ended and the missed opportunity. Bruce did a lot of interviews like that. You know how sensitive that camp is. So for them to have done a 180 and be like, well, now we're doing this thing in Vegas and we're going to bring Bruce, that also said to me, well, maybe Gene and Paul aren't calling all these shots. Not to say that they don't want Bruce there, but I mean, Bruce was pretty vocal, as he should have been, about it. It got me thinking, shit, I may even make a pitch to do a broadcast from there because maybe they're not calling the shots,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah.
You should be the host for all the events there, Eddie.
Well, I doubt that's going to happen.
And then you'd be like, Paul, come here for a second, buddy. Let's talk.
Well, speaking of Paul, so not only is Gene coming out and being a terrible salesman for this event, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Paul has said anything about it.
Oh.
So what is that? So it's almost like a hostage situation where Papa's is like, guys, come on. Gene's like, fine, I'll say something. Fuck you. This is what I'm saying. And Paul, like, it's been over 2 months since the event was announced. I don't think Paul has said a word about it. No, he's not doing a hype job. Gene did the exact opposite of a hype job. The only one that's really pumping this thing up is Bruce because he's excited that he's performing with the band. And then that raises the eyebrows of, okay, is Bruce and Tommy going to be playing with them? And if so, who the hell's the drummer? Because like we already talked about, Eric Singer hasn't been asked. I think the whole thing is bizarre. Now, again,
Brian
we're going.
Tichy.
Yeah, I would love to have Brian on there. We just had him on a couple weeks ago. We'd love to have Brian.
Gene made some comment like, hey, maybe my solo band shows up. Like, it's just throwing out this kind of weird, random stuff.
Exactly.
And we just don't know what it is. But to your point about Paul, yeah, I mean, again, if you're not being paid on something and you're not – look, those guys are used to running everything, making all the money, calling all the shots. This is the first time they're not in that position anymore.
Exactly.
So they might just be taking the attitude is, hey, this is something I got to do contractually. I'm along for the ride. We'll see. I mean, I got excited, and I think a lot of others got excited because we thought it was going to be like a non-makeup show where they're going to dig into the catalog, play some of the 80s stuff, go a little deeper. Yep. And by the way, I would have been all in on that because everyone knows my only issue with Kiss has been the makeup thing with Tommy and Eric. Nothing against them personally, but just the visual of it, I just didn't. So I checked out. But Tommy and Eric playing Kiss songs not in the garb, yeah, I'm all in, man. That would be cool. And bringing up some guests. One other thing on this: if Pop, say the theory we have is correct, Pop House is calling these shots. Gene and Paul are not, although I'm sure they could veto something. Why isn't anybody reaching out to Ace and Peter if this is a celebration of the Kiss Army?
Well, that was going to be my next thing. So Eddie was the whole thing about Peter announcing an album that might be coming out in the fall around this time period. I don't know. Zeus, what were you going to say, buddy? Sorry.
I was just going to say, those are your friends. And I'm assuming you would have heard if they reached out to Ace and Peter. They would have both told you personally, hey, they reached out to me. We're negotiating something, right?
I mean, as much as I love Peter, I don't have that kind of relationship with him at the moment where he would call me and do that. I'm not in constant touch with him like I am with Ace. I mean, I emailed Peter when he got that award in New York. He got back to me. I congratulated him. I love Peter, but Peter's more reclusive, and Ace text calls me. Lives a half an hour from me. It's different. But yeah, last I talked to Ace, he knew he was at it. What the fuck is this Vegas thing? So could something have changed since I talked to him last? Yeah, but I mean, to me, if I'm Pop House, that's and you're celebrating. The whole gist of this is celebrating the Kiss Army.
That's right.
You've got to at least include those guys in some way, or at least make the overture. I don't know.
I just want to. Let me just get this one last thought in.
Of course.
So this goes to. If you notice, it's not anytime Bruce is with Kiss, it's the Bruce Kulick band with Todd, Zach, and all them, and Brent on drums. There is no Bruce Kulick band.
No, it's just Bruce Kulick.
It's 70s Kiss, a couple cover bands, but Bruce's band. I don't know if this is a Paul thing. I don't want Todd Kearns fucking destroying my vocals, like killing me while he's up there kicking ass, and I go up there to sing and I look terrible.
Destroying as in singing them so well.
Yeah, beating his ass, like just killing it, right? And Paul can't do it. And then the other part to it is, does Paul have the leverage to be like, I'm not fucking coming with you bringing Ace. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not dealing with Peter and Ace. Fuck that. I'm not involved in this shit.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure that as much as that Pop House might be running this, I'm sure they've got some final say, veto power if they wanted to. I would think
you think he would exercise it?
Yeah, but
so do I.
Yeah, but the thing is also Zeus, it would come down to what are they doing? Like, in other words, if you were going to put them up there as, like, say, a Q&A or something like that.
No way.
So I think that would be fine. Like, I think
they would never let Peter and Ace at a Kiss event give them a free forum where they can be like, fuck these guys, they're fucking assholes. No way would Paul ever let that happen. But would they, and for Ace and Peter's sake, imagine a captivated audience like that, and they say, hey, you guys can do meet and greets, the fucking money they could make, the two of them from that.
The original four.
And that's a sale point to the fanatic Kiss fans, for those who haven't bought their tickets, like, oh shit, Ace and Peter are going to be there.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I can get my fucking Dynasty cover finally signed by all four. Like, whatever.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say, Eddie. was that, they knew, Pop House knew that right out of the gate, you were going to have the Kiss bozos like me and Zeus buy the tickets, right? It's kind of like when a Kiss album is released, it skyrockets to number one. The next week it's off the charts because all the Kiss fans
number
bought
two.
It. Right.
That's everybody pretty much, but yeah. Eddie
But you know what I mean. My point is ultimately this event is 6 months away, and when they do festivals or major events, they have to trickle out things to entice people who have not yet bought tickets.
Right.
But what we've been talking about is what the hell do they have left in the tank to throw at people to get them to go to this thing? The only thing I can think of is Ace and Peter.
Or mediocre bands, like middle-sized bands. LA Guns is going to play. Vixen's coming too. Like that's not going to sell
tickets,
you
though.
extra tickets.
No, those guys play every weekend somewhere. But you're 100% right, Tom. I mean, if they announce tomorrow in attendance the original lineup, Ace and Peter will be there. Even if they don't say what they're doing, I guarantee you the rest of that thing sells out in a minute.
100%.
And that's where the problem is, though, because those guys know that, they're going to want for the proper money for that, and that's where it's going to fall apart. Because Ace going to be like, how far fucking get my fucking piece of the fucking pie? I
want $1 million to show up in Vegas.
It's just funny too that again, it's been 2 months since it was announced, and we're 6 months away. The whole thing has died. The conversation is no one's even talking about this event. Nobody's even not even within the Kiss community, really. The only thing we're talking about is Gene's recent interview that we already discussed about him saying, all the dumb shit about it. But it was like a fart in the wind. It was announced in March. People bought their tickets, and I was like, all right, I'll see you in November. I
think they're gonna have to come off of that. You gotta stay there by the full weekend thing at some point. I think they're gonna have to come off of, we can buy a 1-day pass. You don't need to stay in the hotel. They're gonna have to, because it's just too much. I mean, it's too nondescript right now. Like, if it was more refined, and if you had a concise thing, and even if you had Tommy, Eric, Gene, Paul doing an hour, okay, that's something, and no makeup, whatever. But right now, Eric's not there. Nobody knows what's happening with that. Bruce is there, not quite sure what he's doing. Ace and Peter not there. We know Vinny's never going to be there. It's just kind of like, is it a convention? Is it a concert? Is it a Q&A? Like, nobody really is totally sure. And it's a big commitment and a lot of money when you don't have it fully defined. And, there's another company involved in this, which I only found out recently, who I'm actually, what's that?
Is it the Vibe company? Whatever they're called?
No, I saw on the AdMat a company called Topeka.
Oh, okay.
Now, for people that don't know who they are, I know who they are firsthand because I'm actually doing a job for them at the end of the year. They're doing an event with Styx for 3 days in Florida. Okay. It's called Rockin' in Paradise, and it's like a Styx branded 3-day festival where Styx is playing 2 of the 3 days, and Cheap Trick's on it, all these other bands. So this company hired me to host it, and they've been great to work with, and they do like special events like this. This company was formed, one of the people who ran Sixth Man, the people who produced the cruises.
The cruise. Yep, the cruise.
He spun off and started this company to do land type events.
Yep.
So I noticed that company's name, along with Pop House, was also in one of the ads for this. So they have, whether they're just producers, promoters, whether they're just doing staging, I'm not sure what their role is, but I'm going to find out because I've been working with them. They're great people. I just don't know what their role is in it. But you would imagine, considering that this company was an offshoot of a company that produced the Kiss cruise, this could be like, well, we're going to do kind of a land thing now in absence of the cruise. And Pop House would need to be involved because Pop House obviously owns Kiss now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what a lot of people have been saying, and we've been talking about this on the show, is that it's kind of like a Kiss cruise on land so far. I mean, it's not a fully formed Kiss cruise, but it has that, there's Kiss tribute bands are going to be there. Sebastian Bach is going to be there. Bruce Kulick. There's going to be, the guys from here and there and different fan forums and shows. So like you said, it's like a land-based event. But You're right. I just, one final thought for me, at least on the Vegas thing is I really feel like it's undefined right now. And again, we bought tickets, we're going, but I just feel like it was kind of like a failure to launch when they launched this thing, and that the diehards are going to get it, but other people like, who's going to be there? What are they doing? They're doing an unmasked show. Oh, they're going to play the unmasked album. Oh, no. They're going to play without makeup. You mean like people are asking questions, and it just seems like it's really unclear to people who aren't diehards like us.
That's why they were able to sell a lot in the beginning.
Exactly.
They talked about this, and it was all obscure. Kiss will perform an electric thing and non-makeup or whatever. So-and-so Bruce is going to be there, this and that. Tickets on sale like in 6 days.
Boom.
You're like, holy shit. Well, you go online, you try to buy it. Within like 10 minutes, the first 2 packages were sold out.
Gone.
Sold out. Gone. So you don't know what's available. So you're like panicking, like, oh shit, this thing's going to be sold out. You buy the next package, and then everything stalls. And then everyone's like, wait a minute. What the fuck did I just buy? Anyways, what's happening in this event? All you were told is this was going to happen.
Yep.
And you have like 6 days to buy these tickets.
And Zeus, to your point, when it was announced, was it not announced as Kiss Unmasked set?
Yeah, non-makeup. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Kiss, and then it was backtracked to Gene and Paul with guests.
Exactly.
And then Tommy they got ahead of their skis, announced Kiss, and then I'm sure Tommy and Eric are like, whoa, we don't have a deal for this thing. We're not in Kiss right now.
I'm not showing up for free.
Right. So then they couldn't sell it as Kiss, so they sold it as Gene and Paul with guests. Then they make a deal with Tommy. Then Black and Blue comes on, but they still don't have a deal with Eric. So you can, what do? You sell it as Kiss with guest drummer if they don't get Eric? Like, I mean, I'm sure Eric is probably smartly holding out for the right number to be a part of this, because he's the one piece that's that's holding it all.
Uh-oh. He was just messing with his phone. We'll get him back.
It's fine. Now I'll have to figure this out during the episode when we record to edit this out.
Sorry, guys, I got a call. It knocked me off.
That's okay.
Don't worry about it.
We'll get you back on. Yep.
I'm back now. Okay.
Okay.
Wait till you see your video, buddy.
Oh, we have the. Let me see.
There
we go.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot there to figure out, and I know there's going to be more shit dropping, and when it does, hopefully, it'll be all for the good. However, when we first talked to you, we were like about coming back on. We gave you the choice. What do you want to do? And this is what you came up with. Tell everybody what you came up with.
What are we going to talk about, Eddie?
Well, at the time that you guys started talking about me coming back on, this Vegas thing had just been announced.
Yep.
And all the buzz was about the non-makeup Kiss show, which my mind immediately went to the non-makeup Kiss era, even though whatever happens is probably still going to be playing Shout It Out Loud and Rock and Roll Night and Goose. Mentally, in my mind, I went to, oh wow, they're going to do a set, and it's going to be Lick It Up through Carnival of Souls, and
right.
And so mentally, that's where I went.
They're going to play I Confess. Yep.
Right. So when you guys asked me about it, I thought it would be fun playing off of the Vegas thing to focus on that period. And then the other thing is, so people get me wrong so many times because they just think, they think he's just an ace guy. He's just an original lineup guy. All of it completely untrue. And I love the non-makeup era. So I was thinking about it. And, I do all this stuff on the air on my own radio show, sometimes just for fun or just with friends. It's like, okay, focus on the non-makeup Kiss records, the best or your favorite track from each non-makeup Kiss record. You can only pick one, your go-to song.
Love it.
So basically, Lick It Up through Carnival of Souls, your go-to song. If you could only pick one, what's the definitive song for you on the record?
Love it. We love these conversations. All right.
So it's interesting. I look back at what we did because we finally hit all the albums. So we have our favorite tracks from each of these albums. We're going to start with Lick It Up. You're the guest what's your favorite track off Lick It Up?
This is absolutely one of the tougher ones for me because Lick It Up is a really good record with some really heavy songs. I love Exciter. I love Not for the Innocent. But I just got to go with, when I'm going to do this, I'm going to go with the song that I immediately feel is my favorite at the moment and for the longest time from these records. And for me, it's A Million to One.
Ooh, there you go.
I always loved A Million to One. I love Paul's vocal is unbelievable on that. And that song, if you know the Vinnie Vincent song, That Time of Year.
Oh, God, we love that song.
I think it's praises all the time.
Yeah.
It's very similar. If you listen to it musically, it's similar. And so it's almost like, and obviously Vinny co-wrote A Million to One, so it's almost like he almost rewrote That Time of Year for A Million to One. It's just similar in a lot of ways. So for me, I'm going to go with that song. I'll never forget when Paul did his solo tour. I swear to you, people will never believe this, but it's swear on my kids. I put that in his ear to do.
Yeah.
Because I had done an interview with him and Paul for the First Kiss, for him and Gene with the First Kissology. And we did at Henson Studios in LA, and we were taking a break, having lunch. And he came over to me, and at that point, the tour was about to start. And he's like, I go, what are you going to play? You're going to play some different stuff? And he's like, I don't know. What would you like to hear? What do you think would be cool? And I mentioned A Million to One, and he did it. And when I went to see him on that tour at Irving Plaza in New York, swear to God, he came off stage. Somebody came and grabbed me. He was off stage 30 seconds, brought me back in the dressing room, and he was standing there with a towel around his neck. And he's like, see, I did it. I did it. You know?
Wow.
So it's
That's
something
awesome.
I'll never forget. And I always loved that song so much. So that's mine from Lick It Up.
Nice.
Tom?
Yeah. For me, I love this album too. It's ironic because this album was no makeup at this time. I just think this is the true Demon album. I think every Gene song in here, he still has the growl from the Creatures of the Night era, from like Rock and Roll Hell and War Machine. But I just think these songs are so aggressive and so heavy and so awesome. So for me, I'm going Not for the Innocent.
So you mean, Tom, all those great songs from this record he's doing on his current tour?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, don't rub it in, Eddie. I know, huh? Yeah, exactly. Not for the Innocent. I'll give an honorable mention to Young and Wasted. And I do love when Eric Carr used to sing it live.
Yeah.
Young and Wasted's great too. But Not for the Innocent. I think Gene just crushes it on this album for me. So,
All right. So just for the record, Tom had Lick It Up as number 8 of the studio albums ranked.
Ranked 8th, yeah.
I had it number 2. It's my second favorite Kiss album.
Yep.
I think the album is just out of the park. I think Vinny writing 8 of those 10 songs, because when he could write brilliant songs with Paul, he could write brilliant songs with Gene. He was the perfect mixture, and they could rein him in so he's not doing crazy shit like Boys Are Gonna Rock solo in the middle of Lick It Up. They reined him in, and it was a great mixture. Probably the biggest regret of Kiss is that they didn't get another couple albums out of that lineup. It's too bad.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I know it's fatigued, but there's nothing like Lick It Up. I know it's so
Title
fatigued,
track.
but it's just, I remember losing Kiss after basically Dynasty as a little kid. And I remember circling back and hearing about Lick It Up. And it's just such a, like when you're a little kid in middle school and hearing someone say, Lick It Up. Oh my God, what is that? Holy shit. And it's that riff and that Paul Stanley chorus. It's so simple, yet, hey, you come up with that. You can't.
Yep.
He did. And fucking it just works. So for me, I can't penalize it for being a fatigue song.
No, you like what you like.
Yeah, I'm still going Lick It Up. It still gives me chills right now.
No, it's a great song. And I always have this thing when I do top 5s and stuff on my radio show all the time. And I always tell the audience, like, you can't penalize a song because it became popular. It's still, it's either great or it's not. And you're right. I mean, look, that song was so important too. And bringing them back, seeing the video on MTV, the unmasking. I remember they did an in-store for that record at Sam Goody's in Rockefeller Center in New York. And I went in to, I went to it. And I was working at a record store at the time, so I had a promo poster for Lick It Up, and I got it signed. It's on my wall right over there to this day.
Sweet.
Nice.
And I also remember Kiss was still rebuilding at that point. They were still trying to get back. And it was just odd to find any like Kiss shirts or anything at that time. Can't remember what it was. There was I have a picture of me wearing the shirt. There was some magazine or record store or something called Hot Rocks. And they did a deal with Kiss at the time where they put Hot Rocks on the front and on the back, the cover of Lick It Up. This was before they even toured for the record.
Wow.
And I remember I got that shirt, like I went and ordered the dumb magazine or something just to get the shirt. Because it was like so like crazy to see somebody walking around with a unmasked Kiss shirt at the time.
Right.
So all those memories come back to me, and like waiting in line at the Sam Goody's in Rockefeller Center, and the fact that they were there and they were doing an in-store. And then that was the first time I met them as well, at the Centrum in Worcester.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Our
Holy
neck of
shit.
the woods.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I've told this story before. I was supposed to come there on the Creatures tour to see the show because they didn't play New York or New Jersey on Creatures. My appendix blew up. I landed in the hospital. I couldn't do it. And then the next tour, I didn't know if they were going to play New York on Lick It Up, so I bought tickets to Worcester.
Wow.
And drove up there. And then I just started in the business at the time, and I got like some meet and greet passes, and I met them.
Nice.
Wow.
If you have my first book, there's a photo of me and some friends in a hotel room with Eric Carr. And that was from the Centrum in the hotel next to
That's
it.
so cool.
Nice.
Hey, we brought this up the other day when we talked about the old adage about Vinny saving Kiss and stuff. And I want to hear your quick opinion on this. I say the person that saved Kiss is Paul Stanley. It's not Vinnie Vincent. If Lick It Up wasn't the album that came out, and it was Animalized that came out right after Creatures, and they took the makeup off with Animalized, and Heaven's on Fire is the first song, I said they would have been just as back as they were with Lick It Up.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it's the song. It's Lick It Up, the song, and then it was Heaven's on Fire. Heaven's on Fire is probably more beloved than Lick It Up is.
Oh, it is.
For the non-makeup era.
Oh,
I think that song would have caught on even more.
Yeah.
Well, I think Paul kept Kiss alive, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I think the combination of them taking off the makeup and that spike in publicity, coupled with whether it would have been Heaven's on Fire or Lick It Up, would have had the same effect.
Thank you.
And I think what saved Kiss, though, quite frankly, and why we're where we are now with Kiss is Ace and Peter, meaning them coming back in '96.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're there is relevant now.
Oh,
Yeah. I agree.
Without that reunion, we're not talking about Kiss in the terms when the last 25 years don't happen.
We'd say they'd be headlining Monsters of Rock instead of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Right.
They'd be that type of band, like that level.
Yep.
So, no, I agree. And the other thing I mentioned, and my point was that for me, Vinnie Vincent had the greatest impact as a player, replacement player in Kiss. That's my opinion because of the songs he wrote. And if you put his impact on those songs versus the songs that maybe Eric contributed or Bruce or anything like that, to me, the most impactful to the Kiss discography.
Oh, yeah.
Vinny. And that's
I agree with that.
He also had the hardest road in terms of coming in because he's coming in to replace Ace. And it was such a clouded, weird entry into the band. He's only subbing. He's not subbing.
Yeah,
Ace was
not
in
even
an
on the
accident.
album.
He's in the band. Ace might show up on the Creatures tour. Ace's picture's on it in the video, but he's not in the band. He is in the band. I mean, it was all that smoke and mirrors stuff. It was so confusing, and people are like, who is this guy? What's going on? And it was a weird time. His entry into the band was very weird. In a way, Bruce's was a little bit too because he was subbing for Mark but Vinny was.
But he's also subbing for a less guy, though.
Yes,
he's not replacing the legend.
Vinny's taking a hard bullet there.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry I got us detoured. Let's go to Animalize. Tom, you had that at 19 of the 24 because we're including the solos.
Yep.
I had it at 19 as well.
Okay.
Which is almost the worst of these albums.
Yep.
But we're going to start with Eddie. Eddie, what's your favorite song off Animalize?
So I had to think about this one quite a bit, but I think I've landed on the opening track, I've Had Enough.
Really?
Yeah, I remember. Look, I mean, this Animalize came out at a time where rock and metal was getting heavier and Metallica was starting to emerge and Anthrax and all that stuff started happening. And I remember clearly getting Animalize, starting the record and hearing that just open riff and double drum kick. And I'm like, whoa. And then hearing that super shreddy guitar solo, which now is, not really obviously Kiss. I mean, that's not, we all know that this was a time where Kiss became followers instead of leaders, but sometimes they did it well. And I thought that Animalize, they did it well. I mean, I knew Eric Carr personally very well. He was a huge fan of the faster metal. He was a huge fan of that stuff that was emerging. So here you got a drummer playing like that, and then the riff was so killer. And then I remember sitting in my friend's house in Staten Island when we all gathered around to listen to the record for the first time, and we were like it was this feeling like our old band could compete with what was happening then. It was like listening to that was like, oh my God.
Yep.
And then that part where Paul goes up that high octave, like, and we're like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yep.
It was just so aggressive and just so attitude and kick ass, and the drums, and then the guitar break. First time you hear Mark St. John, you're like, holy shit, they got an Yngwie Malmsteen in the band. Like, to us at the time, I would have been, 20 years old. That was like the coolest shit we ever heard. Yep. And it just made us feel like Kiss could compete. And it laid the gauntlet down for that record. So I'm going with that.
All right.
Yeah, I always say that Animalize, since we started this show, Animalize is probably the album that I have kind of come around on more than ever. Because to me, Animalize, before we did the show, it was like, Heaven's on Fire, and then a bunch of songs that are okay. But Eddie, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going with I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. I just think pretty much for the same reason. That double bass from Eric and that intro, and just that it's fast, but it's not under the gun fast, which I think is just way too fast for Kiss. That's just my opinion. It's fast, but there's still some rhythm to it. There's still some melody to it. And I think it's pre-hair metal. Heaven's on Fire is definitely a little bit of, the early hair metal, but this is that 83, 84 era before hair metal took over, when bands were really kind of shredding and getting metal, like you said, with what Metallica and Maiden and Anthrax are doing. So yeah, I'm going to go with the same. I've Had Enough.
There's a really cool chugging in the verses too. Like,
yes.
It's just so cool. It's metal, but it's still Kiss, it's just, that song is awesome.
Yep.
It's funny, you switch songs. You were on Heaven's on Fire. Now, this was the first album we reviewed way back in 2019.
It was like our 7th episode or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always great to see where you've changed over time. Certain songs, like, I'm fucking sick of this song. Or, man, that song has grown on me. But I can't change. It's still Heaven's on Fire. It's fucking Desmond Child coming back after I Was Made for Loving You, and just hit it out of the park. I can't take away its brilliance. Again,
it's incredible.
Type of song that I hear Shook Me All Night Long, AC/DC. It's so easy. So that, okay, you do that then. You come up with a song that is universally played throughout the world like that. You play a song like Heaven's on Fire, and I'm sorry, if it comes on the radio and you hear it, you're fucking rocking out to that song. It's still to this day. It's a brilliantly done song, and I'll give Paul and Desmond credit on that. All right, let's go to Asylum, which Tom had ranked as his 13th favorite album.
I love Asylum.
18.
I love Asylum.
Very
overrated. Eddie, you go first.
Asylum's probably my favorite overall of the non-makeup Kiss records.
Eddie.
Okay.
Zeus isn't down with Asylum?
Not that I'm not, dude. It's a Kiss album, so that means it's better than 90% of the shit I hear. But amongst the Kiss albums themselves, no, I think it's overrated. But then again, you think Revenge is overrated. So
I do,
right?
Yeah. I do. The thing I like about so much about Asylum is the fact that it's where we've just talked about Kiss being so metal and trying to get on that thing. We all know it took Kiss a long time to figure out like their sweet spot in the non-makeup era.
Yep.
And even though the look was the height of ridiculousness at the time, discounting all that because everybody was doing that, just musically, even though you had heavier stuff on there, Love's a Deadly Weapon, King of the Mountain, whatever, there was stuff on there that found Kiss, I think, getting more back to like what the earlier rock and roll vibe was. Stuff like All Night and whatever. It just felt more like what Kiss really are, which is a hard rock band, not so much a metal band all the time. And I'm going to tell you, you know, everybody knows I'm super pro Paul guy when it comes to Kiss songs. 10-1, you know, just always going to default to Paul as my favorite songs. But and there's one on this record in Who Wants to Be Lonely that is right there as a 1A, 1B with me on this decision. But I'm going to go with a Gene song on this record. Oh. And I'm going to go with Trial by Fire.
Ah, nice.
Because exactly what I just said, if you listen to that song, it's so Kiss in the big open chords, the big sing-along chorus. And here's the other thing that I love about it, which they got back to doing on this record and on this song. Gene and Paul singing together and hearing both of their voices clearly, like call and response in the chorus.
Yep.
That kind of stuff that harkens back to Dress to Kill and the early Kiss records. That shit I love. That is signature Kiss. And when I heard Trial by Fire, I'm like, they finally found the center lane. It's not too poppy. It's not metal. It's right down the lane, and you're hearing everybody sing, and it's just great straight up rock and roll with everybody sounding great. So I'm going with that.
Nice. Yeah, it's another album I've come around on since we started the show. When we reviewed it, I had Tears Are Falling #1, probably because I didn't really know any better. Great song.
Great song.
I
can't fight you on that. That's one of the hits that I could also put at #1. It's just great.
Right, but now coming around in 2025, I thought you were going to go with this. When you said a Gene song, Eddie, I'm going Secretly Cruel.
Yeah.
I think it's I like the way you said it. It's center lane. It's melodic, it's poppy, but it's got a nice riff, and I love the gang vocals with the chorus. I love Gene. He's kind of getting sleazy again. It's not really, you know, there's no demon in the song. I love the demon songs. No one, you know, obviously we got plenty of those, but I like, you know, kind of the opening lyric, you know, she got my picture hanging on the wall, or what, you know, like it's a sleazy song. It's a song that you would think Paul would sing when you kind of listen to the lyrics and the melody and the hook and the chorus. But I think Gene's great on it. And I'm doing Secretly Cruel for this one.
I mean, I don't think there's a bad song on Asylum. The only weak link, if I had to pick one, would probably be Love's a Deadly Weapon, because to me, that's where they were pushing it, trying to do the metal.
I'm Alive is pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true, too.
A good song. I like that song.
Yeah, but those were where they were trying to push and still have that foot and that animalized speed thing.
Yes.
But Secretly Cruel, Trial by Fire, Tears Are Falling. I mean, you know, even King of the Mountain, the way the record opens, those giant drums. I saw him do King of the Mountain live once. It was in Connecticut, actually. But yeah, I mean, I love Asylum. Over the years, that's aged the best for me.
Nice. Zeus.
Yeah. Weak tracks, King of the Mountain, I'm not a fan. Love's a Deadly Weapon, not a fan. Radar for Love, not a fan. All Night, the 3 videos are fantastic. Secretly Cruel is great. And even Any Way You Slice It, like, and I Try by Fire. They're all good songs. Tears Are Falling just stood out. Tears Are Falling was the album that I got back into Kiss myself and focused, like when I'm in middle school and things like that, focus now, Kiss is my band again. That's my #1 band. So every band that puts out a video or puts out an album, Kiss was my #1 that I'm going to go to. And I got back into it, and I remembered my stuff as a child and remembered the affection I had for Kiss. But now I know them as a middle schooler, non-makeup, and I fell in love with it. And I fucking love that riff for that Tears Are Falling riff is fantastic.
It is.
So fantastic.
It's great. It's great.
Catchy song that should never be played live because it's terrible live.
They can't do it live.
Shit
it's a dud.
Not work. It's a naughty crowd pleaser. It just doesn't work for
even
anthemic songs. Big chorus, crowd back into it. It doesn't work live.
Even on the Asylum off the soundboard, it sounds like shit. On the Asylum tour, they couldn't do it.
But I'm going with Tears Are Falling for me. But live, it doesn't work.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. We're not going to do smashes, thrashes, I'm assuming, right?
No.
For me, that would be Let's Put the X, just putting it out there. Do you have a favorite between Let's Put the X and You Make Me Rock Hard, Eddie?
What's the least worst?
No. Let's Put the X in Sex is part of Paul's trifecta masterpiece. What are you talking about?
I wave the flag for You Make Me Rock Hard. I think I like that. I've always liked that one.
The pre-chorus is great on that.
Yeah.
Man.
Eddie, this is like Eddie asking if he wants to be shot or stabbed.
Come on, Let's Put the X in Sex is so much fun.
X in Sex is basically Robert Palmer Addicted to Love, right down to the video.
No, but it's Paul with his clever sex lyrics. It works. It's a masterpiece.
What about
a masterpiece?
What about the Beth Eric Carr vocal? Can I go with that?
Oh,
sure.
Fucking brutal. Yeah.
You can pick that. That's fine.
Or the brutal job they did on I Love It Loud on that album. Oh,
yeah. No, I mean, look,
they fucked up every song on that album.
X and Sex is catchy. There's no doubt about it, but it's Addicted to Love, and how weird was the video too of Paul like dancing around with no guitar, like
he was a front man.
What was he doing?
Pants were up to his tits,
leather pants up to his waist. Like what was that whole thing?
God.
So bad.
And then he made fun of the models. He called them all ugly and skinny, and he shit on them too.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I do. But regardless, the video was fun, and I'm assuming we'll all just go Let's Put the X, except for Tom.
I'm going Rock Hard, baby.
Oh God! All right, let's go to Crazy Nights. Okay. Eddie, you got something for Crazy Nights?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very polished commercial record, but I do like it, though. Went to the listening party for it. I've told that story before.
Yeah.
I would go with I would go. I'm going to have to go. My first inclination, and pretty much since the day I listened to the record, was my favorite song, and it's just so Paul in so many ways, and it's I'll Fight Hell to Hold You.
No, you did not, Eddie. Yeah. Eddie, we love you. But come on, dude.
I love that song.
Did Chris Jericho get to you? Because he thinks that song is...
No, that's My Way. That's
that too.
Did Jericho cover that yet?
Oh, no.
You guys don't like I'll Fight Hell to Hold You?
Oh. No, and we love Crazy Nights, the album. Love that album.
I love that song. Horrendous. To me, that's just got that whole Paul, just everything about it, man. It's the verses, the vocal is like Ron Nevison, the producer, has said this. Paul went way out of his range on that, way too high, pushing it. Point. Yeah. But for me, it worked on that song.
Okay.
I just always loved that song, and that song's probably one of the meatier, like riffy songs without too many keys in it either.
Okay.
I just always guilty as charged. I love that song.
Okay. So I love Crazy Nights, but for me, the song, it's funny, with the exception of the song I'm going to pick, I think Gene really excels on this. Like, Good Girl Gone Bad and Thief of the Night are two of the greatest deep tracks, I think, I love those songs. I love when Gene is not singing like the demon, like when he's singing that deep singing voice. Okay, but that being said, it's Turn on the Night. It's just, I mean, come on, that song, we say it 100 times. If anybody else was doing that, it would have been a smash hit. It came out right when bands were doing anthems. If Def Leppard did it, if Bon Jovi did it, if Poison did it, it would have been massive. And unfortunately, it did nothing. It was buried. And I to this day, I still think it's the ultimate party anthem. One of the great Kiss choruses. Paul at his best. I've always loved Turn on the Night. Still do.
It's just that's really, really poppy.
Very poppy. Very
but I
poppy.
don't have a problem with it. It's really poppy. But I wanted, before we go to Zeus, I do want to give a shout out to Reason to Live, which I also love.
Love it.
And
Great
I thought that
too.
song should have been way bigger than it was.
Same thing. I think if another band did that, it would have been. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I love Good Girl Gone Bad as well. I think that pocket and that riff and Gene, I love when Gene sings like that. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bruce is
Bruce kills it.
I think Bruce was like the MVP on that album.
Yeah.
His
He's
guitar
so
work
good.
was so underrated.
Yep.
Fantastic. Especially
And he
Young
brings
Girl
the
Gone Bad.
edge to that record, which is otherwise a very polished record, right down to the drum sound, which
Yes.
is that classic Ron Nevison drum sound, which everyone wanted from the Heart records and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, everyone wanted that, and Paul waited for Nevison. He wanted him to do that so bad.
Yep.
So, and then afterwards, the key with that is then afterwards, everybody's talking about, oh, it sounds so much like the 80s. Well, that's what you hired the guy for at the time,
Exactly. Of course. That was him.
There's a lot of great songs on that album. You mentioned it, Reason to Live, Good Girl Gone Bad. I like Hell or High Water. I love, it's like
Great
Gene's
song.
like sexy voice. Like
Yep.
you just lower register, but not demon growl. It
Yep.
works. But Turn on the Night is such a fun song. We've done different, you do a Kiss podcast, you come up with ideas. We've done like best summer song for Kiss, Turn on the Night.
Yep.
Best fucking barbecue listen to song, Turn on the Night.
Yep.
Like it just works. That chorus is so freaking catchy. The video is horrendous.
Oh, the video is painful.
The song is so good and so much fun. It makes you remember a time when you could enjoy Kiss for what it was, fun. You don't think about Paul and Ace in the makeup and, oh, here's Tommy Thayer and look at the price on this. It was just your band, and they put out a fun album that you could rock to. I mean, I loved it. I think Turn on the Night is one of their most underrated classics.
Yep.
Anyways, I'll get off that soapbox. Here's a fun one. This is going to be interesting. I have no idea where you're going with this. Hot in the Shade, Eddie.
This one's actually super easy for me.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm going Hide Your Heart.
Oh, okay.
And I knew about Hide Your Heart earlier than this coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the demos. There were demos making the rounds that had like Sword and Stone on it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Hide Your Heart was around at the time of Crazy Nights. And I remember being shocked when I went to the listening party for Crazy Nights and Hide Your Heart was not on the record. And one of the reasons why Ace ended up doing Hide Your Heart is because I had given him the demo because I had it earlier. So did John Regan, by the way, which is a whole nother story, the late great. But so you remember I'm working with Ace at this time. And I had these Kiss demos and I played that song for him. And then when it did not come out on Crazy Nights, I was shocked to the point that when I went to the listening party, I brought it up to them. And they looked at me like, how do you know about that song? I'm like, things make the rounds, Mm-hmm. So imagine Hide Your Heart with Crazy Nights production. I think it would have been amazing,
Probably. Yeah, you're right.
And so I always loved the song. I thought it should have been on Crazy Nights. I would have loved to have heard what Ron Nevison did with it. Instead, we all know Hot in the Shade got this bare bones demo sort of production. Yep. But still, the song holds up. And the video for it is great. Mm-hmm. The song is great. The song is so great. It was covered by like 5 people.
Yeah.
None of them had a hit, so maybe it wasn't that great. To me, it's a great song, and I just love that song.
Did you know that we had the great Holly Knight on?
Yep.
And she said her favorite version of it is Ace's.
Yeah, I had her on my show for the book as well.
Yep.
And she for her book.
Yeah.
She told me that as well, that she loves Ace and she thought Ace really captured the vibe of it. She also tell you the story about Paul trying to cut her out of the songwriting?
Yep. I think so. I believe that. Yeah.
Because she said to me on my show that I said, well, what'd you actually write on that? And she said yeah. And she said that when Paul decided, I think her and Paul were dating, I believe, at the time.
Yeah.
And she said Paul called her up and said, hey, you know that song I mean, I know you did this little part in it, but I mean, you don't want credit for that, right? And she's like, fucking A, right, I want credit for it. She said they got into a thing about it, but he said he tried to, she goes, that's the whole hook of the song. Yeah, I want my credit.
Yep.
So I thought that story was really funny.
Yeah,
Nice.
I also enjoyed the part when I had her on the show and I said to her, so you banged like 3 of the fucking members of Kiss, right? Tom's looking at me like, oh, fuck, I probably shouldn't have said it like that.
She laid it out in her book, though, man.
Yeah,
well, that's the
and
thing.
technically the drummer too, Anton.
Right.
You want to go from Dynasty?
Yeah,
right?
I felt the question was fair because her book read like a Penthouse Forum, half of it. So
God
I mean,
bless her. I have a lot of respect for her. She just was like fuck it. I don't give a shit. Guys can talk about their conquests. I'll fucking tell everybody what
wasn't there a John Bon Jovi story in the book too?
yeah.
I'm
Wait,
not sure.
Bon Jovi?
I know there's some crazy other stories like Don Johnson and a few other guys.
Yeah.
It was
There was a Bon
little out
Jovi
there.
story. I think something like John was running out of her house, or she made the move on. I don't know. There was some story. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she had a Bon Jovi story in there too.
All I know is that she got tag teamed by Anton and Ace, so that's all I know. that fucking. If I was like, Jesus Christ! I think we're in chapter 4 in this. What the hell's the rest of the book going to be like?
I remember when Zeus and I were
Sweetheart.
kind of reading it at the same time. We're texting each other like, "Where are you? Right? Have you gotten to this part of the book yet?"
Yeah. It was a little out there. God bless. She's fantastic. But Bonnie Tyler, who I fucking love, did a version of that too.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, by the way,
Robin Beck.
oh, that's right. He did as well.
No, that's a woman. Robin Beck is a woman.
Wait a minute. No. Who am I thinking of? Then there was somebody
Molly
else that did
Hatchet.
it. Molly Hatchet. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
who I'm thinking of.
Oh, I
Also
forgot
did
about that version. Yeah.
There's
you're
literally
right.
like 5 versions of that song.
Yeah. No,
At
you're
least.
right. You're right.
At least. All right, Tom, where are you going?
Yeah, I love Hot in the Shade. I know it takes a beating for what A, it's too long. B, the production sucks. Whatever. Tons of songs to choose from for me, but I always lean on that Paul trifecta of King of Hearts, Silver Spoon, and You Love Me to Hate You. I think those are 3 of Paul's best vocals. But for me, I'm going. Ever since I bought this album, I've the song for me, it's always been "You Love Me to Hate You." I love it. I love the pre-chorus. I love the chorus. Paul sounds incredible. It's got a great hook, great melody. You know what? I said it with the Crazy Nights album, and I'll say it with Hot in the Shade. You know, no one really gave a shit about Kiss. I mean, you know, Forever was a hit, but there's so many songs buried on these albums that if other bands were doing them, you would have heard them nonstop. And you know, You Love Me to Hate You, I just think is great.
I forgot about that one. That's a great song,
Yeah.
and I do love King of Hearts and Silver Spoon. I mean,
Yeah.
those are great
Paul
songs.
Great Paul songs.
Yeah,
It's a record. I'd love to hear Hot in the Shade remixed. Those drums made better. I mean, they're electronic drums.
Yep.
I remember picking up Eric Carr from the studio when they were making that record, and he was so bummed because he's like,
blame him.
they're using
yeah.
drum machines. He's like, we're in this demo studio. Remember, the previous record, they went from the #1 producer at the time in giant studios and budgets to making 15 songs in basically a demo studio with a drum machine.
Unbelievable. I know. It's true.
Yeah, the production of it really hurt the song, and I'm not a fan of Gene's work on those songs. I think Paul was the shining.
It's a bad Gene album.
Yeah. I agree.
And there are remixes of Forever and Rise to It that they service to rock radio. I have them on CD singles.
Oh, okay.
They did rock radio remixes. They did remix those 2 songs to try to get them on the radio.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay.
So all I know is, and I'm not a musician. We talk about this all the time. Anytime I do, we do album reviews, and I'll put a track in. I just know from my Audacity thing, every time I put a Hot in the Shade track, the fucking thing is like shrunk compared to the sound of all the other Kiss albums. It's just so weak sounding. It's too bad.
Well,
But
if I'm not mistaken, isn't Hot in the Shade and Carnival, aren't they the only 2 records that didn't come
get
out
the
as part of the
remix.
remaster?
Yeah, they didn't get the
remasters, exactly.
That's odd.
Well, I don't think Revenge didn't get it either. I think Crazy Nights was the last one to get the official remaster.
Right. Which
Yeah, I
those
think
are already 20 years old at least, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those came out, I think, 97,
90s.
97, I believe, maybe the remasters came out, the CDs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with Tom. You Love Me to Hate You. It's always one of my favorite songs.
Yep.
It's just so different. And we all love Kiss deep cuts. And that's just one that's
Right.
always stayed with me. And silly lyrics, You're like a cat on a hot tin roof. Just like these are lyrics that Paul would never write. So you notice I think in Hot in the Shade, they started getting into that Bon Jovi-ish like storytelling song.
Exactly, storytelling.
In the bar, Silver Spoons. Not, although they did have Read My Body and shit, but they started stripping down the look, not as glammy, starting to wearing ripped jeans and stuff, bandanas, changing the look because the look was changing, and their songs were changing. They weren't cherry pie-ish. All of a sudden, they're talking about stuff.
Well, look at how the album starts. The first thing you hear is a slide guitar at the beginning of Rise to It.
I mean, right off Your Heart is a story song. Kiss doesn't do story songs.
No.
It's I'm going to fucking get a cold gin, right?
Zeus, what were the two biggest bands at the time? Bon Jovi and Def Leppard. Right. Read My Body is Pour Some Sugar on Me.
I know.
100%.
These other songs you're talking about are Bon Jovi vibe songs. Bon Jovi and Act that opened for Kiss a few years earlier. Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, by the way, on the same record label as Kiss.
Yep.
That opening thing of Rise to It, there were a lot of people that said it reminded them of that Cinderella song, Bad Seamstress Blues, the way that opened.
Yep.
Cinderella.
It also sounds like
Tesla.
Yeah, it also sounds like a Tesla opening with the slide guitar.
Yeah.
So again, things are changing. They're stripping down from the real glam shit.
Yep.
Right? I mean, everybody's changing their look a little bit. It's getting closer and closer to that grunge takeover. But anyway, now let's go to your
tour. I'll say it a million times. The best tour of the non-makeup era, Hot in the Shade, in my opinion.
Everybody
incredible.
sings its praises. I didn't see it. Tom saw it as
my
his first Kiss tour.
My first Kiss tour. Incredible.
Not even close. It's when it finally all came together. They looked cool. They cut those long solos. They brought in some old songs.
Yep.
They were comfortable on stage. The set was cool. It was the best by far.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, let's go to your favorite overrated album. Let's go to Revenge. What do you got, Eddie?
Again, I'm not a Revenge hater. I just don't think that it lives up to the stature it's been given. I do like a lot of things on it. I really like Tough Love a lot.
Wow.
Whoa.
You know
that song is horrendous.
That's actually probably like my least favorite.
You know something funny?
I love Revenge, and that's probably my least favorite song on the album.
And Bruce on for our 100th episode, and we did a Bruce Kulick draft.
Oh, this is a great moment.
I forget who picked it. And I forgot that Bruce wrote it.
Bruce picked it, I think.
Yeah, and he's like, Tough Love. I'm like, like I wrote that song. I'm going to go, sorry.
That's why I love you guys. No filter.
Oh, my God. I was like,
It's just like a shitty version of Heart of Chrome.
Exactly. That's how it is. It sounds like Heart of Chrome, but a crappier version.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why. I always like it, but that's not my pick.
Okay.
Okay.
My pick is Unholy.
Of course.
I mean, it's just, first time Gene had a lead single in forever, and just Gene just ruling on that song, the riff. I mean, just when it kicks in, just the beginning. I mean, just everything about it. It was just, it was the best Gene in a long, long time. And
Paul was pissed, right?
What's that?
You know that Paul was pissed that Gene got the first single, right?
Well, yeah, and Larry Mazer, who was managing the band at the time, he told me that he feels the trajectory of the whole record would have been totally different if they would have let Domino be the second single, which is what everyone wanted, but there was no way Paul was going to let two singles in a row not be one of his songs.
Never.
So he completely, they knew they'd completely lose Paul if they did that, and they had to wait. And Larry Mazer to this day says that Revenge would have been a billion times bigger record if they could have followed Unholy with Domino.
I believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love Unholy. I always sing its praise. I absolutely love the production. To me, this is good Bob Ezrin. We're not going to get into what I think of Destroyer, but Unholy is just fucking fantastic. Gene's great. Paul's great. Bruce Kulick is off the fucking charts. Eric Singer. The album is just, I love it. I get that some people think it's overrated. That's, everybody's whatever. But I'm not going to get cute here. It's Unholy. It's probably my second or third favorite Kiss song of all time, and it's the demon personified. One of the great riffs in all of hard rock that no one ever talks about because it's a Kiss song. Of course, it gets buried. But yeah, Unholy for me, without a doubt.
But don't you think that it's better that Gene is doing Thin Lizzy cover instead of that song?
Oh, absolutely. I'd much rather hear a song that
You are fucking all over this.
So, Eddie, you want to hear? Here's how fucking how funny Zeus and I are. We're going through the set list. We're like, Bad Reputation. Why is he doing a Joan Jett cover?
And we got fucking hit with like a million people going,
How do you not
fucking
know that's
dumbasses,
Thin
it's Thin Lizzy. I'm like, all right, relax.
Well, I knew it was Thin Lizzy, and I love Thin Lizzy, but I'm not going to see Gene Simmons.
But what's
hear
a
that.
bigger song? Isn't that the fucking, what do you call it? Bad Reputation, Joan Jett song, the more popular?
100%.
That's what I thought he was doing. I don't know.
But if you're doing a Thin Lizzy song, I know Bad Reputation is, a big song for Thin Lizzy fans, but the bottom line is play Unholy, like you said, Eddie. The fuck, Gene?
No.
God damn it.
Anyway.
And wouldn't it kill you to go into Radioactive after playing the Radioactive intro?
Eddie, do you know how many listeners in our Facebook group have said, what the fuck? He starts off teasing us with Radioactive and then just walks on like, nope, we're not doing it.
He recorded See You in Your Dreams twice.
And didn't
solo album and Rock and Roll Over. You don't do it once.
Neither of them is very good.
Well, I know, but at least you see my point. The song was in his mind, the song's so good he did it twice a year apart, but he can't do it.
Yeah, but he's got to play some obscure Beatles cover so we can tell everybody how great they are.
He tells everybody the song's so obscure the Beatles never even did it live in his rap, but here it is.
So he can tell everybody how much the Beatles influenced him so he can get his story.
Zeus, you know why? You know why? Because fuck him. That's why.
That's why, Daddy. Just fuck him. I was going to say he couldn't get Peg Bundy to do the backing vocal, so he was like, fuck, I can't do this. It's easy for me. Take It Off is my favorite song.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking awesome.
It is part 2 of the Paul Stanley Brilliant Trilogy of sex songs. Let's put the X in sex, Take It Off. And I just want to. Brilliant Paul Stanley, cheesy. It watches that fine line between that and like the Bang Bang Yous and Read My Bodies. Those 3 songs make it so it's not cheesy. It's just the right amount and it works. And Tom and I always get a kick out of it thinking like, this is a song that plays at a PTO parent meeting, the fucking teachers and shit.
Wave your panties in the air.
Lick your lips and shake your hair. Oh, fucking love it. You play that at a barbecue with some your kids' parents. Woo.
The soccer moms will be.
Yeah, somebody's panties are coming off. Fucking terrible. But I love that song. I fucking love it. And then, they had that on Alive. You can get the Alive, one of the Alive
3. Yeah, they had it on there.
I think the Japanese version has it, right?
Yes,
I have a version.
I think it's the Japanese version that has that.
That has Take It Off on it, which is awesome.
Yep.
And it's also
Kane Roberts, right? Kane Roberts co-wrote that, I think.
I don't know who wrote it, but it's fucking brilliant.
Well, I think Kane Roberts. I think Alice Cooper's guitarist, the Rambo-looking guy.
Oh, okay,
the fucking guy who's doesn't look like he can't fight. Looks like he whips some ass, right?
I think Kane co-wrote that song. He has 1 or 2 songs on that record. I think that's one of them.
Okay.
Well, it's brilliant. He should be fucking in the Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Fame right next to Eddie Trunk for writing that song. All right, let's go to the last one. And the polarizing album of Carnival of Souls, which I have ranked last, even though I still like it, but it's the least of all.
I can't believe you have that ranked last. Oof.
What would you put underneath it? What's worse than Carnival of Souls?
You talking to me?
Yeah, you said it's not last. What's worse than it?
Oh, Music from the Elder.
Oh, come on, no.
What?
What's the best song? Whatever the best song on this is not better than The Oath or I. That's
it is. It is, but that's okay. Eddie.
Curious, Eddie, what's the least favorite? I don't know. I know we can't count the last 2 with you because you don't really listen to them, Monster and Sonic Boom.
Well, I know the singles. I know the lead singles on those songs, and I like them both. Modern Day Delilah and whatever the other one was.
Would you
Hallelujah.
melt if you listened to Sonic Boom or Monster? Would it kill you?
It'd be like staring. It'd be like staring at the sun. You can't do it.
Would you seriously hate yourself?
Probably whatever the song is that Tommy starts singing about going to outer space. That one would probably melt.
Out of this world.
It's one of the better. Both of his songs are 2 of the better tracks on those albums.
And I'm sure it's not. It's nothing against Tommy. It just ties in with my problem with the whole thing.
The Ace shit. Yeah.
Well, you might want to hear the acapella "Eat Your Heart Out," which is probably the most horrendous song in the Kiss library.
It's like 5 seconds of the song. It's not the whole song.
I do not need Kiss doing acapella.
It's not a barbershop quartet, for God's sakes.
Horrible.
I thought Modern Day Delilah was a great song.
Oh, the solo on that. I love it. Tom's a big fan of the song Stand of Sonic Boom, which I am. I fucking love it.
Dude, it sounds like a fucking church song stop it. Terrible.
Brilliant. I would love to get you back here next time, Eddie. But your homework is you have to listen to Monster and Sonic Boom. And we break down those two albums with Eddie Trunk.
Oh.
How fun would that be?
I'd have to spend some time on that because I really, honestly, outside of a couple songs, do not know those records. But, every year. Every year I do, I do an annual All Kiss special for my FM radio show. I play 3 hours, nothing but Kiss. And I always include the two singles from both of those records just for fairness.
How good is Hello Hallelujah? That fucking song rocks too.
Yeah.
That album is so overproduced it hurts your ears by the time you're done listening to it.
Paul just not
overproduced, but it was like the loudness wars. It was kind of like Metallica was doing Death Magnetic at the same time, right around the same time. It was just like that wall of sound.
It's called brick walled.
Thank you.
In the music industry, call that brick walled.
Brick walled.
When the waveform looks like a brick wall, it doesn't move because it's so compressed.
Thank you. Exactly. And the only way I know that is when I put the tracks up. I know exactly what you're talking about. Anyway, let's get back to Carnival of Souls. You have a song.
There's two that come to mind. One would be Rain.
Ooh.
And the other would be Jungle. And I'm giving the nod to Jungle.
I like Jungle.
Because I remember, Jungle was the single from that record. And I remember getting that and thinking it was cool as hell. Like that groove and that drum pattern and
that bass line is awesome. Yeah.
That little guitar lick and then Paul's vocal and then he sings softly and then belts it out. And, I love the long version where, the full album version is like 6 minutes or the long end and all that.
Outro,
Later they did an edit of that, obviously. But I always loved Rain too, because again, I'm partial to Paul and his songs and his vocals. And I loved Rain, but there's just something so different and cool about Jungle that I'll go with Jungle.
Are you a fan of that album in general? Do you like that sound that they did?
I don't. It's not a record that I routinely dial up and listen to, but when it came out, I was not like we all know the story of how that came out, and it came out after the fact. It was just thrown out there. The reunion was happening and all that.
Yep.
I thought that record, if all that hadn't happened, stood on its own. I thought it was a good record. There was a lot of things I liked on it. Yes, it was, again, Kiss following instead of leading without a doubt. Right. But, let's be honest, it never had a shot because it was buried on arrival. And I do know, because I went to the Kiss MTV Unplugged taping, and I was very close dealing with people in Kiss's label at that time. And they were disillusioned with the record. Like they felt like even before they knew the record was going to get buried, they really felt like that was going to be an impossible sell to sell a Kiss record in the grunge era of them trying to be grunge. Yep. And they like that record, even if the reunion didn't happen, was never going to stand a better chance because I know the label was sour on it. They were like, what are we going to do with this thing? So the reunion happening really bailed them out and got them off the hook from even having to work that record. So it wasn't a good vibe around it at the time in terms of having any shot at doing anything. But, I think Standing Alone as a record, like there are things on it I like a lot. I thought Childhood's End was cool. I mean, I thought it was great that Bruce finally got to sing a lead vocal. I mean, the playing is great. I mean, I might have liked a little bit of a different mix, but that's what was going on at the time. I didn't, just like I look at Unmasked and Dynasty as the pop period. I look at The Elder for what that is. I look at Carnival of Souls for what it is. It was one of my favorite bands taking a stab at what was going on at the time.
They weren't alone either. How many bands changed their sound to try to fit in? They weren't alone.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Kiss trying to get into that grunge sound.
Well, Def Leppard made a record called Slang that was like that.
It's not good.
There was some stuff on Slang I liked, but
okay.
Everyone took a swing. It was crazy. It was like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you did it, you were looked at as just falling in line.
That's right.
And if you didn't do it, you were looked at as an out of touch relic. You were screwed no matter what.
Yep. I mean, I love Carnival of Souls because I like that kind of that tone, that Alice in Chains grunge stuff. I think it's a terrible Paul album. I think Jungle and Master and Slave are pretty good, but Brooding is not Paul's strength. He's not. It just doesn't work. But anyways, without a doubt, it's the angriest, nastiest, most vicious demon song I think in the entire catalog, even more so than Unholy. And I'm going with Hate. I think what Eric is doing on the drums and what Bruce is doing on those guitars, and when Gene just comes in screaming hate, you're like, fuck, like, wow, like you thought Unholy was nasty. Here this comes, and I just think it's fantastic. Eric and Bruce, we talk about this a lot, like what would have happened if MTV Unplugged didn't happen, if the reunion didn't happen, and I know we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to say it real quick. Zeus is convinced that they would have done what Rush did with Roll the Bones, where they would have had like rap in the middle of a song, which we found out that they actually did on Revenge. That Paralyzed had a little rap breakdown that Bruce shared for us. But anyways, I don't know what Kiss what they would have done. Would they have continued down this road, or would they have continued kind of following that mid to late 90s trend and eventually done new metal? I don't know. Who knows? But
they would be doing the Nookie fucking.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Honestly, Tom, I think the concern from what I remember at the time is they would have been done. Like
probably
they couldn't. They would have been done for a while. Like they couldn't. Like they were just rudderless. That's why when you talked earlier, I was like, Ace and Peter coming back is what saved Kiss,
the band. Yeah.
Undoubtedly, because they were flopping. Like they were trying everything. Okay, here's our concept record. Here's our metal record. Here's our grunge record. Here's our speed metal. Where do we do? What do we do?
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah,
Zeus.
I'm gonna go with I Confessed. I've always liked that song.
Oh, I love it.
I'm telling you, every track on this album from Gene is fantastic. Paul had no fucking game in this album.
It's just not his style.
I don't think his heart was in it. He bashed it. Anytime he brings it up, he bashes it.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
I've never seen him really talk about it.
When he talks about not being genuine and not doing like Who Wants to Hear a Bunch of Millionaires complain about life. Things like that.
Yeah.
It's always, unless it's Destroyer, Creatures of the Night, and a few others, Paul hates everything in Kiss.
Yeah, Paul hates every album in the discography. It's awful.
Has Paul made any? You guys, I can't see his social media, but has he made any statement on Gene's tour?
Nope.
No, he hasn't really. He's been quiet on social media. Period.
Because he made a statement about David Lee Roth's tour.
Yeah, he praised it. But are you blocked from his social media?
Yes.
He literally said block Eddie Trunk. Like, because I'm sure you didn't reply to him. He sought you out.
Yes.
And blocked you.
That is a bigger honor than being in the Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Fame.
For years, it's been like that. I don't know what I did, but I did. But yeah, I'll give you one better.
Do it.
Oh, no.
Real quick. This is great. This is a long time ago now. I don't remember when it was. It was just before Dio died. So whatever year that was, the year just before, there was a event in L.A., an award show called the Golden Gods. I was in the middle of doing that metal show at the time. I went to the award show. I was one of the presenters. There was this VIP room in the back where they kept everybody huddled up until they had to come out on stage.
That was 2010 when Dio died. So you're thinking 2009?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Because Dio was there. And Gene was sitting in a private booth with a rope and him and his son behind the rope. And I was outside the rope. I may have told this story before. I apologize if I did.
No. I don't think it doesn't sound familiar.
I remember this.
No, me neither.
So I'm in the room, and at that time, I'm doing my TV show, and everyone kept pounding on us to have Kiss on because, they all knew we were all big Kiss fans. And I couldn't figure out why it wasn't happening. And I knew Paul didn't like something I said, and I was outcast or whatever. So I'm in the same room now with Gene, and the whole place is like, oh, there's Eddie, there's Gene, they're going to talk, whatever. And Gene was behind this roped off booth. And I just walked right over to him and the booth and up to the rope. And yet there was a guy guarding the booth, but he saw me. And I just went like, can I talk to you? Motion, because it was loud,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he gives me like the hand of God wave, like come in, like it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the guy pulls the rope across. I go in and I sit down next to him and his son. And Gene to his son, you know the powerful and attractive, that stuff. And
Yeah.
and at that time my popularity was really high because my show was on every day. It was big, right?
Yep.
On TV. So as soon as I do this, I see people gather around the booth and they're all taking pictures because it's like this meeting of like Gorbachev and Trump or something, like what's happening. It's so stupid. And if you see the photos, which I have some of them, I'm going like motioning with my hand, not in a bad way, but just saying like, dude, what is going on? Like, what's the problem? Like, come on the show. It's all good. Like, let's talk it out. Nobody has an issue. Like, and I remember Gene kept saying to me the whole time, he's like, I have no problem with you. Maybe one day that'll happen. I have no problem with you. Okay. Meaning he doesn't have a problem with me, right?
Yeah.
And I was following Gene on socials at the time. Okay, cool. Thank you, Gene. Shook his hand. I go, let's see if we can put together whatever. And I left. 10 minutes, whatever. The next day I go on social media, on Gene's social media, and I'm blocked.
Whoa! No shit. What?
So it's like,
what?
He just got done telling me there's no problem with me. I'm like, well, what do you think happened?
Of course,
His
Paul got him.
social media filled up with photos of me and him talking because all these people took these photos and posted them.
Yep.
Somebody didn't like that visual.
That's right.
And
we need to be united front. You can't make me look like the only asshole fighting with him. We need to be a united Kiss. You need to block him now.
Zeus, we've had this conversation before about we get pissed. We understand Gene is the brand, Paul's the band, but we get pissed that Gene doesn't stand up more to Paul's drama, little panties in a bunch antics.
Well,
and
when
if
Gene did the promotion for, as Ace calls it, the silly safe.
Yeah.
He was one door down from me, and he wanted his label guy wanted him to come in, and he couldn't. He says, "I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I had no problem, but I cannot do it." I didn't. When I was at Gene's show last week, I intentionally did not talk to him, not for any reason. He was a few feet away from me, and not because I have any issue with him or he has an issue with me. It was just like, what's the point? It's like,
yeah, what are you going to say to him?
There's people around him. And the other thing is, to be honest with you, I knew that I was going to say how I felt about the show on radio and here on this podcast and whatever.
Yeah.
And if I saw him, I was not going to be a hypocrite and be like, great show, Gene. And then the next day go on the air and say what was wrong with it.
We'll probably get blocked by Gene tomorrow.
That's hypocritical. But that would have been hypocritical and disingenuous. So I just said, you know what? I'll stay in my space. If he came over and talked to me, I would have been cordial, as I'm sure he would have been. But I'm not going to go up and be a bullshitter and be like, dude, your show killed. And then the next day go, what the fuck was he doing?
You mean you want to be authentic and you want to maintain your credibility?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it wasn't worth
it's a unique thing, Eddie. It's a unique thing in this world.
We get that on this end of the things too, Eddie, with Kiss and Kiss podcasts and everything like that. It's always funny. It's like, oh, you guys can do that. Dude, Kiss would want to know. They'd listen to Tom for 5 seconds bitching about pandemic, Paul, and he would they'd be like, get these two assholes out of here. No way. Band, we love the band. We love them. And we love Gene and all this stuff, but
so do I.
We love calling them out on stupid shit.
That fucking concert of his is something I want to pay a lot of money for. It's not. And, if we do this, Paul will say,
you're hurting me. You're really hurting me.
And we don't mean to do that, Paul, but it's just sometimes we got to be truthful and we got to tell people what it is. But as much as we do that, right, then you get the other aspect of this and you hear what this guy has to say about Kiss fans.
A lot of Kiss fans aren't the brightest people in the world.
So we get it on both ends, right?
Was that on my show too?
I don't know, but it's one of the funniest.
I think it was.
I just always love dropping that one. And then another one I have of him when he talks about Ace fans, he says this.
I mean, Ace fans are sharp.
So the Ace fans are sharp, but not the Kiss fans.
But Kiss fans aren't the brightest.
But anyways,
Eddie.
you got we know that, and this is what we have to do. I cannot sit here and say things that I just truly don't believe. Listen to someone tell me how much they like I'll Fight Help to Hold You. I can't hold it in, Eddie. I just like,
but that's why I love you guys. That's why I listen to you guys. That's why I come on here, because even if you don't like what I like, even if you disagree with me, it's fun.
Exactly.
That's the way the world should be. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. You don't have to hide from it. It's
but you're negative, Eddie. You're negative when you're
a hater. You're a hater.
It doesn't mean you hate something. That I just. Who else is going to sit here and dissect these records like we just did? If I'm not a hardcore fan, but you
exactly the point we always make.
I don't care. I don't care what I say this all the time. I don't care what band you name to me and how big of a fan I am. I can sit here and tell you things they did I did not like, and it's fine. That's what being a fan is. That's what you're entitled to do as a fan. And look, I mean, again, I'll always be a fan, and that's all I am at the end of the day. And by the way, I had a kind of about a year and a half ago, like a semi-engagement with Paul where he waved to me and it was okay. Yep. I hosted a party for Chris Angel for his.
That's right.
Yeah, and Paul was there. Paul was there. About that. Chris didn't do the party this past December, but the previous two he did, and I hosted both of them. Mm-hmm. And although I didn't engage with Paul and talk to him, I acknowledged him from the stage. I waved to him. He gave me a wave. To this day, Brent Fitz thought it was like the greatest peace offering ever. He was like behind the drums taking pictures. I'm like, the whole thing's so silly to me. It's just not a big deal, but it's just.
We know exactly what you mean, because that's how we get it too on our ends as well. Like people that just can't see that, it's okay.
It's okay to have an opinion. Like
this isn't like our identity. Our identity isn't just everything's got to be about Kiss. Oh. Like I have a job, we have family, we have everything else.
Right.
Music is fun. If you're talking about Kiss and you're taking it too seriously, you're doing it wrong.
Like I always say, I always like to say, that's a you problem. Don't point your finger at us.
Yeah, we have fun with Kiss because it's funny. Some of the shit they've done or stuff, but it's okay. Just enjoy yourself. But listen, I want to end with a couple things I wanted to bring up with you real quickly. We saw two concerts. Wanted to get your opinion. We just saw AC/DC at Gillette. Fucking blew my mind away how great the band is. Brian Johnson, I felt
Brian struggled,
okay.
but
he
the
had
band.
A couple things, but for me, he hit more than I expected from him. I thought the band was incredible. That rhythm section is just AC/DC to its finest. And then we were guest of Graham Bonnet in a little show up in New Hampshire. I have never seen any singer in their 70s kill it like him.
Late 70s, probably.
77 years old, crushing
singing
every
Schenker group fucking stuff.
Rainbow Alcatraz.
Screaming, hitting the notes in key off the fucking charts. It was one of the best shows we've seen, I don't know, in how long. And
it was
he's
great.
77. Came out looking like Mr. Furley, but he was fucking awesome. Loved him and his band. In his band, you got guys channeling Richie Blackmore, Yngwie, Michael Schenker, and on drums they're channeling Ian Pace and Cozy Powell. Fucking band rock. Two great shows. Yeah. Any thoughts about some of these legacy acts out there trying to survive?
Well, the Graham Bonnet show, I didn't even know he was doing dates, but somebody actually called my radio show who was at that show and said the same thing as you.
Yeah.
And Graham has always had that look, so that's not surprising. But the pipes, I'm glad to hear the pipes are still there. I mean, I love the Assault Attack Michael Schenker album he did is one of my favorites.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that album.
That's a great drums on that record too. Ted McKenna, killer drum track. Anyway, so I didn't know that Graham was doing that, but that's cool. And AC/DC, I saw him in Vegas. I agree with you. The band was phenomenal. And yes, did Brian run out of steam a little bit at times? Yes. Was Brian sounding like Back in Black? Of course not. But couple things on AC/DC. They're giving you over 2 hours, which very few people do.
Yes.
The man is 77 years old, working football stadium stages.
Incredible.
He's doing a more than admirable job when you consider that. And the other thing, I'm not a musician, but more than one musician told me this. they are doing everything in the original key and do not tune down. And that is unheard of for somebody like that. So you could make the case Brian singing that stuff would have been difficult 40 years ago. Yep. The fact that he's getting through it now at the level he's getting through it, I think is better. Look,
it was better than we expected. I'll tell you that.
He's better than some of the guys 20 years younger singing easier stuff out there right now.
Yep.
So I give him a pass on it, and it's real. It's in the original key. And look, how much more can he do? I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever tour again, but the rhythm section was great.
He didn't tell jokes in the middle. He didn't tell jokes in the middle and bring up somebody to sing "You Shook Me All Night Long." It was straight rock and roll.
It was great.
Hard rock, straight through and blew our fucking brains out. I couldn't believe how good that concert was. And this is like AC/DC or maybe on its final tour. So impressed.
Yeah, the other guy I'll give you is Sammy Hagar, 77.
That's a show I want to see. I want to see
saw
that.
his Vegas residency. There's 3 more shows left. And what Sammy's doing at 77. I mean, I say to these people all the time, there's these freaks. And Sammy, I said to Sammy after the first show, I said, people say Jimmy Page made a deal with the devil. I think you did, because that guy still be able to sing and making new music still and look like that and to perform like that. It's crazy. So
does he have Kenny? What's his name on drums now?
Aronoff.
Aronoff.
Didn't you have him on recently?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Kenny is a monster, and it's a great band with Satriani and Michael Anthony. And look, I've been speaking of critical. I've been hard on David Lee Roth, and like many have, but by every measure, David Lee Roth came out strong at that festival in Maryland. Yep. And again, by his standards, he didn't sound like 1984 Roth, but more than good. And the other thing that I love that he did, Roth took a lot of heat for putting so much stuff on tracks last time he played, all the backing vocals. Mm-hmm. He acknowledged that on stage at that show because he had those 4 backing singers. And when they were singing, he went over there more than once and goes, "No tracks up here tonight, baby. This shit is all real." And I love that because that means he heard the criticism and did something about it.
Yeah, and then he goes,
and then Paul gives him a big,
ironic. Yeah, and David Lee Roth just announced a solo tour. He's coming to one of my favorite venues in southern New Hampshire, up at Hampton Beach, the casino ballroom. I was like, holy shit, that thing's going to sell out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's doing good business. I mean, it's weird because when Roth said he was retired after the Kiss shows and the residency canceled in Vegas, he said his quote was, "My doctors will kill me if I ever go on stage again." Like he had some medical thing.
Wow, holy
shit. And I
think
that had to do with, he does crazy shit like climbing mountains and martial arts. And I think he probably messed up his back or had some sort of disc thing.
Yeah.
But clearly the guy looked, I want to know where he went for his hair transplant because I need the number. It was unbelievable.
We all could use somebody.
Eddie, just take it off, brother. Take it off. Just go
halfway there,
man.
Tom.
I'm right with you, Eddie.
Both of you need to embrace it. Just take it off.
I know. It's all good. It's all good.
Some people have heads that work for that. Some don't. I don't know that mine would. Yours works good, Tom.
Okay.
Good, Tom.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see. So, Eddie, anything you want to plug? You're doing anything coming up?
When are you going to post this?
This will drop this Saturday.
Saturday, my friend.
Oh, well, the weekend this hits, I'm at Boardwalk Rock in Ocean City, Maryland, hosting that.
Nice.
And then
unfortunately, Alice in Chains just had a drop out of that.
Yeah.
That was my son and his girlfriend had tickets to see them at Mohegan Sun about 30 minutes before the show was announced. That's when he had that's when he had the medical emergency. The show was canceled. My son was devastated, and then they went and canceled all their festival appearances, their tours, etc. So that sucks.
Boardwalk Rock has taken a few hits with that because originally it was Motley Crue. We don't know what's going on with Vince. They're off. Then they brought in Alice in Chains. Now Sean, hope he's okay. They're off.
Yep.
And then they lost Three Doors Down because Brad Arnold announced he had cancer, which I wish him the best.
I saw that.
And I'm going to that tour. I'm going to that show too at the end of August with Creed and Daughtry, and it was supposed to be Three Doors Down. So they haven't announced a replacement for that yet, Eddie. Any insight on who you think might be next in line for that?
No, I haven't heard on that. But real quick on Alice in Chains, I brought this up on my show.
Yeah.
And I know it sucks for your son who wanted to go, but I found it amazingly refreshing in a time where you have people replacing key members to not lose a date on a day's notice.
Yep.
That Alice in Chains stood in solidarity with their drummer.
Yes.
And canceled instead of bringing in a replacement in a day or two.
Like that.
You never see that anymore, ever. Yeah. And let's be honest, if they would have brought in a sub and Jerry Cantrell was up there playing, everyone would have still went.
That's right.
Even though Sean's an original member, let's be honest. I mean, Phil Rudd didn't play with AC/DC. The list goes on and on. ZZ Top doesn't have their drummer or bass player. It's on and on and on.
Yep.
And the fact that they said, no, you know what, we're going to call it until he gets better, I find that unbelievably refreshing. Nobody does that anymore.
And it's easier because Cantrell's been doing solo stuff for a while, just as much as the AIC stuff. So he could easily just grabbed his solo drummer and throw him back there and be like, hey, you know these songs, jump back in there and help us out until Sean gets better. But that's great. That's camaraderie. Look, they've been through enough shit. So they're probably like, yeah, we're going to be loyal. We're not going
exactly.
To Yep. But no, as far as that, I mean, the summer's a little light for me at the moment. I'm doing Rocklahoma on Labor Day weekend, which I do every year. Boardwalk Rock this coming up, and my main gig still remains Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Faction Talk 103.
Awesome.
Trunk Nation starting at 3 Eastern live every day. Can't listen live. All the shows are archived on the app, and the Hair Nation show on Monday. And I should mention, I do have a syndicated show, and I believe the Pike in your area airs it, actually.
Yes, they do. The Worcester station, yeah.
Yeah. So that show's out there, too. So still pumping out 6-7 shows. And people outside of the U.S. that can't get this stuff, there's a podcast. It's totally free worldwide on the podcast platforms, just under my own name. I just take one or two of my interviews, and I put them out that way. Just had Paul Rogers on. That'll be coming up this week. So
finally, they're in the Hall of Fame. Finally, they're in the Hall of Fame.
So overdue.
I love it. That's a whole conversation.
Yeah, I love it.
He's the legend, Eddie Trunk. Shout it out loud.
I meant Paul Rogers, not me. I was thinking, about Paul Rogers.
Well, you're a legend too, Eddie.
We're calling you a legend. I'm giving you that kudos. And you didn't let me finish. I was going to say, and the Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer.
Yes.
That's right.
I need a plaque or something for the wall, a statue.
You know what? We'll try to make one. We'll talk to our buddy Jeff. We'll see if we can design something for you for the wall.
And we got to tell you, Jeff Trott. He designed our book cover, which you are a part of, and we loved your comments. Everybody does.
Thank you
so much.
Love it.
And by the way, when you had us on a little bit talking about the book, the sales fucking jumped.
Big spike.
We were on a lot of other shows promoting it. Yours was the biggest promotion that we got from that.
Yeah, it was great.
Good to hear.
On your show. So
you
have that kind of effect, Eddie. But anyways, Jeff is a great fan of the show. Another Shout Out Loudcast Hall of Fame. He listens to you religiously.
Every day.
Every time you were kind enough to bring up our names, he is like, dude, Eddie Trunk mentioned that he loves listening to you guys. Oh, Eddie Trunk. We're like, and he's fucking awesome. He's a big fan of yours. I said, hey, we're going to talk to Eddie. You have any question for him? I don't know. I'm like, fuck it. Too long. Anyways, he's Eddie Trunk. We love him. I know you guys love him. Thanks, Eddie. We can't wait to have you back, buddy.
Hey,
Eddie,
guys.
thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. It's always fun to talk with you guys and always fun listening and appreciate it. And there might be something I might be doing up in your area soon. I'm going to find out in the next week or two, so I'll let you know. Maybe we can hang. Otherwise,
absolutely.
even if I'm banned from the event in Vegas, I'll still be in Vegas.
We'll definitely see you in Vegas.
So let's get a drink or something.
Absolutely, we'll get you.
I'll sneak in the back door.
Yeah,
awesome.
we'll get you in there, Eddie. Thanks so much, brother. Really appreciate all your time tonight.
Thanks,
Thank
Eddie.
you, guys.
Tom, that was Eddie Trunk. Thoughts?
Oh, man. I said this to you before we started recording. We've been doing this for a long time. We've had Eddie on a bunch of times. That was easily one of my most fun conversations we've ever had. 2 hours, whatever it was, flew by. And I loved it because it checked off all the things that I love about our show. Strong opinions, current events, and then also combining that with a Kiss nerd out session at the end, talking about the music. It combined everything that I love about our show and that I hope that you guys love about our show. And it was a blast, and Eddie was great. And some strong opinions on everything from Gene's tour to the Vegas event to your favorite non-makeup Kiss song, from each album. It was great. I loved it. It was amazing.
So when there was a lot of stuff going on in the news, obviously, and we wanted Eddie to come on, but we have a fun time talking. So I opened it up. I said to him, right? I said, what do you want to talk? Do you have anything specific you want to do? This was his topic. He said, I want to do favorite song from the non-makeup era. And he, in his mind, he heard about Vegas, as he says on the show, and he's thinking non-makeup. So he's like, why don't we do that? Interesting to hear. We almost completely forgot about it because we're like an hour and a half in.
Yep.
We haven't even hit that topic yet. Just a lot of fun. And he's just been so kind to us and promotes us constantly, tells us it's funny. It's not like somebody just says, oh yeah, I listen to your show. No. He listens.
Yeah.
We didn't say, when we hung up with him after talking for a little while off the show, I didn't expect him to fucking, did you? To tweet that he was on?
Go on Twitter and say, just finished recording, had a great time, episode dropped set. No, we did not ask him to do that. We've never asked anybody to do that. And that was great. And then he gets on his radio show on SiriusXM and talks about it and pumps it up. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
And we love you guys that fucking
yes.
Hey, people texting us, hey, Eddie just let it out of the bag.
Yeah,
Eddie
I love
just
that.
said he's going to be on your show, and he said what the topic is. We're like,
yep.
Yeah, we know. You're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth.
No.
We're fucking happy he's on. And, honestly, he's become a great friend of the show, and it's always a fun conversation. And it's interesting because, as he says, that's why he likes coming on with us. He knows that we're not stuck with the fucking Kiss branded messaging.
No, there's going to be opinions, and they're going to be strong opinions, and some of them might be controversial or strong or anti-Kiss. It's going to, and it's not for shtick. It's because we're fans and we have opinions.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the fun part that I have. If people get upset or anything like that, we're saying this shit on the air.
Correct. We're not
hiding anything. And again, we've said this the last few times. If you're honest about things, you don't have to remember shit because you're being truthful.
Right.
It's when you lie and you got to remember shit. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not supposed to say something negative.
What did I say to this person? Did I say that to this person or that person? I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. And then what you get is you get an honest discussion. We know Eddie has his gripes with Paul and Gene and stuff. It's built in. We know it.
Right.
And that's fine. We'll let him say it. Just like the people that we're friends with that are still have the problems with the fake Ace and all the shit that just checked out after the Tommy and Eric came in with the makeup. That's all right.
Yep.
No, it's not anything personal. It's just fucking okay.
Not at all. Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that. And anyways, Tom, what we do next is we go to question of the week.
Hey, what is this? 20 fucking questions?
I love it.
It's going to be our new intro.
I love it. So I've been saving this one.
Okay.
We got it probably about a month ago, but I have a bank of questions, and sometimes I'll pull them out, and this one was perfect. So this one comes from Alan on Facebook, and it's simple question. It's a little bit old, but it still reigns true right now. And it simply says, hey guys, why has Eric Singer not been named as part of the Kiss Army Storms Vegas? Do you think it's contractual, or do you think he doesn't want to do it?
It's contractual. I don't think Eric has any problem going back to Kiss. I think what he's saying is, you got to pay me.
So yes. So I'll answer this two ways. I'll answer this the regular way, which is yes, he wants to do it. And it's contractual. He's holding out because he knows I don't have a drummer right now. Then the other conspiratorial tinfoil hat part of me is like, Eric's kind of weird. We know that. Maybe Eric's like, yeah, I'm all set. I'm retired. I'm good.
No, he's got too many things.
I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that.
He's got too many things up in the air. He's also got the Paul shit he's doing with them in Soul Station.
Right.
He's got a lot of stuff there. I don't think there's any bad blood. I think it's just business. And remember now, he's not holding out and giving a finger to Gene and Paul.
No.
It's the Pop House.
Pop House. Correct. Oh yeah,
right?
Of course.
And you want me here? I think being there, having Eric Singer, it's not gonna like fucking, Now it's going to get sold out because Eric Singer's there.
I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think it's going to flip anything.
I think a lot of people, if they go like, I'll go and I'll sit there and I'll be like, dude, why the fuck isn't Eric Singer here? Like, that will be a topic of conversation. Like, something that will seem like it's missing because, Peter's not going to be there.
Yeah, the only reason
Eric's not there, it leaves a bad taste. Like, they're fucking doing him like this.
I agree, but see, that's kind of where my conspiracy hat comes in. Is that the event was announced 2 months ago. You got Gene and Paul, you got Tommy Thayer, you got Bruce Kulick. I mean, with all due respect to Eric Singer, Eric, you're not in a real place to negotiate. You're not Kiss.
Opposite Tom. I look at it as like he is. You got Tom, you got everybody, and you don't have me. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not, dude. At this point, do you think Eric Singer's personality and what you've heard of him in the past is the type of person like going to be shooting for the moon for crazy money?
No, which is why
I think he's reasonable. I just think they probably lowballed him.
But don't you think Popos knows that too? Like, okay, we're going to have all these Kiss members there, and then we're going to have
but Tommy
Heavy Mayo as the drummer.
But like Tommy has the what do you call it, black and blue gig. He has other stuff he could be promoting and stuff like that, and he does shit behind the scenes that he probably gets some money for.
Right.
Eric Singer doesn't have another project. He's just there for them.
But but you're kind of making my point. Why is he not part of it yet?
Yeah, they'll sign him and there'll be another thing. He'd be like, oh, guys, Eric Singer's there. Well, when they fucking first advertised this and told us tickets will be available in 6 days or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Did you not think Eric was going to be there? Kiss is performing.
Exactly.
So who's Kiss?
Right.
Kiss is Tommy, Eric, and fucking Gina Paul.
Right.
So that's not a bonus to me. I expected him to be there when you sold the ticket to me.
That's why I find it odd that it's been this long without him being. I don't know. We'll see. I think he'll be there, but I just find it odd.
Well.
Anyways, great question, Alan. Thank you. We love when people chime in with questions of the week, especially when they're episode topical. And of course, we did talk about the Eric Singer thing this week with Eddie, so it was good.
Tom, where can people find us?
Go to our website, shoutitoutloudcast.com, our newly designed and refreshed looking website there. It's great, easy to navigate. Right there, when you get on the landing page, you can see all of our episodes, all of our different sidecasts, and of course, a link to Raise Your Glasses, our amazing Kiss book that Eddie Trunk was part of. Thankfully, with that, we're very grateful for all of his contributions. So check us out there. Of course, you can find all links to our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, everything is there. And of course, you can find links to our Amazon shopping, Shout Out Loudcast merch. Got some great merch. Some of the stuff there designed by our Hall of Famer, Jeff Trott. Check that out. And of course, you can.
Guess who's back in the motherfucking house with a fat dick for your motherfucking mouth?
Can't say his name without his theme, Tom.
I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, and you can send us messages directly from the website. You can also comment on individual episodes on the website, which is really cool. So please do that. And, of course, you can use our email, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Send us a question of the week. You can use any of these formats. Email's the best, but whatever suits you. So please do that. And, of course, we always like to say that we're a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network of shows.
Yeah, DM us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, motherfucker. Check out the Spotify playlist. I hope Tom is making a playlist for these, for me, you, and Eddie. That'd be great. So check out, and you do that by going to our profile, not the podcast on Spotify. You check out the profile, and then you'll see different playlists, and there'll be a playlist specific for each episode that requires one. So also, with addition to that, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You do.
And with YouTube, we're going to be dropping some clips in thanks to our new hired gun there, the great Daryl Alber, who is the man. And he's created some shorts, some reels, some YouTube clips, some previous episodes. We think you'll like them. They're pretty fun. And make sure you subscribe, like, and do everything you can on YouTube. And then make sure you go and give us a 5-star child review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can. That's a big help to us. And the other thing people are doing lately, and actually the book has really moved up the chart. So I don't know what's going on, but that's great. And that is they can give a 5-star review for Raise Your Glasses, which is on Amazon. You go there, click that, give us a 5-star review. That moves us up the food chain. I think because a lot of you are doing that again lately, the book's been selling a lot better because we haven't really been out there doing it. Anyway, so please feel free to go to Amazon, give us a 5-star review there. And always go to our website, shoutitoutloudcast.com, shoutitoutloudcast.com. You can check out our episodes there. You can check out some of our guests. You can check out our rankings. All sorts of shit are on there. Tons of fun. And we appreciate you. So with that being said, Tom, we always like to end on famous last words. Do you have any?
Oh, absolutely. I saw my pictures hanging on her wall. She cut it out of that magazine. It was a hot day. She wore lingerie and nothing else in between. Ooh.
All right. When I look into the mirror, just can't believe. What do I see? There's no waking from this nightmare, and you're lost in your reality. Eddie Trunk,
That's right.
Tom, Kiss Army, Loudcasters, thank you.
Huge thanks to Eddie Trunk. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, my friend. Great episode. Tons of fun. Everybody out there, Loudcasters, Patreons, you guys rock. Thank you for everything to keep Shout It Out Loudcast at the top of the food chain. Zeus, as always, my friend, thank you.
Peace out, Girl Scout. Hit the music. What I'd like now is for all you fat, out-of-shape, worldwide kiss-tards to keep the noise down while I show your ladies what a real sexy man looks like.
Listen, all you people out there sitting on rented furniture, settle down.
Cut the music. Anybody seen Richie? Anybody know why Richie did Bobby Lupo?